How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
And lastly, we ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. And any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
We please ask that there will be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. Any disruptive behavior today could result in being removed from the call. So, just be a nice person. So with the little housekeeping things out of the way, let's jump right in.
Again, we ask no recording or streaming of today's session.
And we ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's session from the floor. Any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
Won't anybody help us? What are we running for? When there's nowhere we can run to anymore. Can't afford to be innocent. Stand up and face the enemy. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible. And with the power of conviction, there is no sacrifice. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
All
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
Great
her.
Noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
Not
it's,
Ian.
it's not because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporters?
Go
and live
under, if
streaming?
you're going to do it,
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah, please.
But Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
I watch these streams, and I've been watching a self self-professed fascist named Karlyn, who drinks and basically roasts these live streams. But weirdly, she has apparently embedded herself with Antifa before, and so it's such a funny stream because
so they tolerate her.
Oh no, not anymore. She no. She's I mean, I don't know if she's trolling or not, but on her stream, she's like, I am a fascist.
Right.
So she's proudly proclaiming she's a fascist. I don't know how much of that is trolling, how much of it is real, but conservatives who are drawn to her stream will say things like, these people are funded by George Soros. And it's the funniest thing because she gets so mad. And she's like, get off fucking Fox News. Stop watching that shit. It's all wrong. Do these people look funded? Do these people look like they have money? They're not funded. It's so, and I guess her bigger point is by saying these are funded agitators and not saying what they actually are, which is anti-capitalist revolutionaries, you dilute what's really happening. Because what's really happening, according to her, and I think a fair amount of people, is that the economy is so fucked. The middle class is diminishing so much. The cost of living is so high that this is the perfect soil you need if you wanted communism to grow anywhere.
What's up, guys? What's up? What is up? Happy Friday. Guys, it is a big day. It is a big day, and I didn't necessarily expect it to be a big day when I woke up this morning. I expected it to be a day where Victor and I were going to go to Boston. And we did go to Boston. And the reason we went to Boston is Boston right now has this little pop-up Christmas village called the Snowport, and you get all sorts of bougie Christmas shopping and all that. But the really fun thing about the Snowport in Boston is the food. And I have been wanting to go to this event for years, and I kept seeing it pop up, and I just didn't go to it for some reason. And then this year I was like, Victor, we are going to Snowport, and I am going to get pasta out of a cheese wheel. Because I kept seeing this on Instagram. It was all over my freaking Instagram. Just the pasta being cooked in the cheese wheel. And I was like, yeah, that looks fucking amazing. And it was. It was incredible. And then we got these fancy hot chocolates. And I really only got this one because I thought it was going to be the most decorative. It had sparkle on it and these marshmallows that come out of the cereal and all that stuff. And it had 2 gingerbread cookies. It was really good. It was like a cake batter, hot chocolate, and it was really good. And Victor got salted caramel because salted caramel is like Victor's favoriteest thing in the world ever. And so he really enjoyed that salted caramel one. And it was like $13 for each of these, but I didn't even care because it was that good. And then we got this sandwich. And let me tell you what, this sandwich, it was fucking amazing. We only ate like a little bit of it while we were there, but I ate the rest of it just like about 20 minutes ago after I woke up from my nap. And I got to tell you, that sandwich with that cheese is some of the best thing ever. And also Victor and I spent like $65 on really nice cheese. And I don't even really know what we got, but they were handing out samples and it was really effing good. And they said, do you want some? And I was like, yes. And then they said it's $65. And I was like, that's okay. That's it. And I was like, okay, fine. I don't care. We're having a bougie day. I'm going to get bougie. And, but you know what? Even in Boston, we can't escape socialism. Even in Boston at the Snowport with all of this bougie food. Like, bro, I paid like $19 for that cheese sandwich. I paid like $13 each for a cup of hot chocolate. I paid $65 effing dollars for some truffle aged whatever the fuck cheese that was just really, really good. And even in the heart of capitalism, in the bougiest area in Boston, we still couldn't escape socialism. We still couldn't do it because we came into this one booth and it was a feminist queer booth. And they had this sign that says, now serving piping hot feminism, equal pay, bodily autonomy, and end the mansplaining. They had this sign, we support girls, gays, and theys. They had this, look, they had these bumper stickers, honk to hex the patriarchy, just doing my best in late stage capitalism. They literally said capitalism, abortion is healthcare. And then they had all these mugs, and I didn't even put the pornographic mug because they did have porn mugs. They had porn mugs, but I just put the queer mug to emphasize that this was a socialist booth. But the finest moment I had at the seaport today, the finest moment that I had at the seaport is the seaport had this wall called the Winter Wish Wall. And they had a whole bunch of chalk, and anyone could go write their winter wish on the wall. And this was the very last thing that I did before Victor and I left. I was like, I know, I have a wish. I have a wish. And so it's kind of hard to see maybe in this picture. Maybe I can make it bigger. I don't know if I can, oh, there we go. There we go. Now it's getting a little bit bigger. Okay, now it's getting a little bit bigger. Now we're cooking with steam. It might be a little bit hard to see on the wall right here, and that's why I circled it. My winter wish is right up here. It is the most prominent thing on the entire winter wish wall. It is surrounded by a circle, and it says, "Get communists fired." My winter wish is to get all of the communists fired. Because I really think, guys, I really think that this is my calling. I think that this is the thing that I am supposed to do with my life, which is to get communists fired. And the reason I think that is because, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a monumental victory today. We have had a monumental victory. And listen, I'm not even going to show that. No, that's not the one I want either. What is the one I want? This one. This one. This is the one I want. This is the one I want. Texas State University Board of Regents on Thursday evening upheld the firing of Professor Tom Alter, affirming University President Kelly Damphouse's decision to dismiss him and revoke his tenure. Now, for those of you who have not been following along, this has been an ongoing saga since the beginning of September, in which it has been me and my community, you guys. It has been us versus the communists. And the communists have been putting up one hell of a fight on this one, but we won, they lost, and this is a really big deal. But I want to go back to the beginning. And I want to start off not with that. I want to start off with this. For anyone that was not around during the initial kerfuffle over Tom Alter losing his job, I want to make sure people know what actually happened, because again, this is a really big deal. And we are going to get to watching the House debating about communism today. But before we do that, I'm going to take a victory lap on this, because this is a really big effing deal. And I'm going to explain why. Yep, big win. If you appreciate the win that I'm about to give you, and you guys are about to understand just how big this win is, please send a super chat to show your gratitude. I worked real hard on this. I've been working hard on this for months. I've been working hard. No one was helping me. No one at all. No, actually, you know what? I don't even want to get into that rant. I'm gonna do that rant in a second. Don't worry. But first, I just want to remind everyone what happened. At the beginning of September, we infiltrated this conference called the Revolutionary Socialism Conference. This was a completely virtual conference, and so we got to record everything. Thank you, CB. Karlyn rules, commies drool. So true. So true. Now, we have a lot of crazy things on video from this conference, and I still haven't even begun to release clips from this conference, just because we've had so many different clip events lately that it's just been like, over the past couple of months, we have infiltrated so many events. We've gone undercover in person. There's so much content to catch up on, like seriously. But the most important clip I got from this conference was this. This is Professor Tom Alter speaking at the conference, literally calling to overthrow the government.
My name is Tom Alter. I'm a member of Socialist Horizon.
Recording in progress.
say it again. My name is Tom Alter. I'm a member of Socialist Horizon in San Marcos, Texas, and also a member of the Texas State Employees Union, affiliated with the CWA. As anarchists, these insurrectionists explicitly reject the formation of a revolutionary party capable of leading the working class to power. Without organization, how can anyone expect to overthrow the most bloodthirsty, profit-driven, mad organization in the history of the world, that of the U.S. government?
2 minutes, comrade.
Thank you. As Steve mentioned, a revolutionary party needs a revolutionary situation for the working class to win power. We are not in that situation now, though it may be coming soon, as the crisis of capitalism only continues to deepen and capitalists look to war and fascism to save their profit system. If we do not build a revolutionary party now, this is surely our future. What we do now is incredibly important. We must educate ourselves and others in Marxism and the history of class struggle. We are by no means just a reading club. Our tasks are laid out in the Communist Manifesto. We must participate in the struggles of our class, whatever they may be, from joining union picket lines to defending trans people. And then, as communists, connect these numerous struggles of our class into a fight against the source of our oppression, capitalism. Through struggle, we can win reforms along the way, giving confidence to our class. This is how we build a mass party. Reforms are not enough, though. If the working class is not in power, those reforms can be lost, as we have seen in recent times. We must build a revolutionary socialist party now, so that when a revolutionary situation arises, the working class has the tools and organization it needs to take power. To conclude, have confidence, build workers' power, be a firebrand for a socialist horizon. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, comrade, and excellent timing.
Hey, Tom. Is it true that Texas State trains the most public school teachers in the country? I remember that stat circling around like a couple years ago when Texas State was getting all like the shit that it always gets for being like like the lesser school in Texas.
Yeah,
I remember somebody saying, yeah, exactly. But I remember somebody saying, I remember like that getting circulated around that it like trains like the most public sector teachers in the country.
That it definitely is for Texas, because that's what it was It was started as a teacher school. Actually, that's what Lyndon Johnson went here. Yeah. I can't wait till the day when we tear down the Lyndon Johnson statue on campus as well. Yeah. But yeah, so then Texas State's grown. It's now like the 19th largest school campus in the country. So that would kind of make sense that it could be in training for teachers in the country. So I haven't actually heard that, and they usually do kind of trumpet those statistics when it is. But we do a lot. That's most of my students as well. They're a lot of them are education majors. So
history education. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
So that is the video that got Tom Alter fired. And the thing of it is, they like to say that I clipped that out of context. But the thing is that I actually released the full remarks that Tom made on my Substack. But we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that for a moment. After I released that video on the internet, it's one of the weirdest things in the world, right? Because my community, we are so used to nothing happening when we find a communist calling to overthrow the government. We are so used to literally no one caring every single time we find a video like this, because this is not even the first video we found like this. We have found so many videos of communists literally calling for the overthrow of the government, and we put them out there and no one ever cares. And in the case of this video, this is the video that I sent to Harmeet Dillon literally the day before Charlie Kirk got shot. And I said, Harmeet, I have this video of them calling to overthrow the government. Harmeet, of course, is the Assistant Attorney General of the United States. I sent it to her directly, and she said, meh, literally. And I said, Harmeet, why aren't you interested in a video of communists calling to overthrow the government? And Harmeet was more concerned about my use of capital letters regarding the term overthrowing the government. And she said, Karlyn, I just don't find those capital letters to be very convincing. And so in this case, I really didn't expect anything to happen with this video because I had hand delivered this to the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, who could have called up the FBI on the phone. She could have called Kash Patel on the phone and said, why aren't you going to arrest this communist motherfucker? But Harmeet Dillon instead decided to criticize my use of capital letters on the term overthrowing the government, which of course was all the indication we needed that Harmeet Dillon ain't going to do anything to help any of us out. I don't care what Harmeet tweets. I don't care what she says on Fox News. That woman is going to do nothing. It's nothing more than a PR campaign. That is all she's capable of. But anyway, listen, we didn't expect anything to happen with this. We didn't. I called Ted Cruz's office. I called Greg Abbott's office. I called Ken Paxton's office. I called Chip Roy's office. I called every Republican that I could think of in the state of Texas going, hey guys, I have a video of a Texas State University professor calling to overthrow the government. Do you guys maybe want to do something about that? And Ted Cruz's office flat out told me they weren't interested. And then when I put out on Twitter that Ted Cruz's office told me they weren't interested, they called me back and they said, Karlyn, we're going to form a committee to maybe think about releasing a statement. I never heard back from Greg Abbott. I never heard back from Ken Paxton. I called them multiple times. And so again, like there were literally zero Republican politicians and conservative influencers who cared about a Texas State University faculty member literally calling for the communist overthrow of the government. And then we also had him on video saying, education majors are the majority of my students. And it's like no Republican thought that there was anything wrong with this, apparently. So we really didn't think anything was going to happen. And then we got the attention of one independent news website in the state of Texas. And that news website happens to have a lot of fucking followers in the state of Texas. And they started making a big deal about it. And then the clips started going viral. And it ended up getting covered in the New York Post, among many, 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 many other places. You can't even see my screen right now. There it is. There it was in the New York Post. Literally the day I was going undercover at the, by the way, this was in the New York Post the day before I went undercover at the New York Anarchist Book Fair. So I was literally in New York City when this came out in the New York Post, which was actually just kind of an amazing coincidence. But I'd already moved on to the next thing. And you can also see here, this is the actual article from the New York Post. It's got a great screenshot of me, man. It's got a great screenshot of me. That went really well. So when this went viral on the internet, Texas State University, shockingly, again, we never expect anything to happen with my work. Shockingly, Texas State University did the right thing, and they fired Tom Alter because he was literally on video calling to overthrow the government. Well, let me tell you, the socialists did not like that at all. And the socialists formed an entire committee. They literally formed an organization around getting Tom Alter his job back, because this was a big deal, guys. This was a tenured faculty member who was fired from his job basically for communist organizing. And so this was a big deal. This either sets the precedent for, yes, we can fire college professors for being communists calling to overthrow the government, or no, we can't fire college professors for being communist and calling to overthrow the government. So the socialists, they got their asses in gear and they did all sorts of events and they had all this stuff. Look, they formed a whole website. They have a whole organization around this. They're doing all this campaigning. They're having all these rallies and presentations. Our favorite presentation, of course, is when Haymarket Books, of course, is the largest socialist book publisher in the United States. Haymarket Books organized a presentation in which 3 different communists that I have recorded on 3 different occasions, all of which have called to overthrow the government, they all cried about me for 90 minutes. Okay? So I really want people to get the sense this isn't the only thing that happened, because after Tom Alter got fired, with this new committee to get him reelected, what they are reinstated rather, what they actually did is they took this to court. The Committee to Defend Tom Alter sued Texas State University, and they took this to court, and the court actually overturned his firing. So there was a brief moment where Tom Alter was actually reinstated after we got him fired the first time. And so then the president of the university decided to fire him again because apparently it was some procedural issue or something like that. So they reinstated him and then they fired him again. And then the Committee to Defend Tom Alter appealed that firing again. So this was a back and forth. This has been going on for months. There have been rallies, there have been presentations, there have been emails, there have been all sorts of things. Look at this. Look at this. Here's this. This is their action network. They got over 3,600 signatures collected on this petition. They had all these people emailing the president of Texas State University. Look at this. The Labor and Working Class History Association. They had all these labor unions that were doing this. The Texas State Employees Union. They had all this stuff. They were having rallies for him. This is the Higher Education Labor United. This is one of the main higher ed labor unions. They were doing all this stuff. Defend Tom Alter, free speech. Even the Tempest Collective. I didn't even know about this until today when I started searching for it. I didn't know the Tempest Collective covered this. Guys, the Tempest Collective is watching me. I've been watching the Tempest Collective for years, but obviously the Tempest Collective is paying attention to me. They are a really far left revolutionary socialist organization. We've covered them many, many, many times. But even still, with thousands of communists versus us, I rallied my community and we all started emailing the president of Texas State University. And I don't know, I heard from a ton of people that they did this. I got a ton. I mean, like definitely hundreds. I think I got into the thousands of people emailing the president of Texas State University just because of how many people I had. I had so many of you, and I really want to thank everyone that did this. I want to thank everyone that sent an email to the president of Texas State University saying, you need to make sure this guy stays fired. I want to thank everyone who went out and asked your friends to email, because I know that many of you didn't just do it yourself. You also went out and you asked your friends to email. So we fought back. The communists were all coming for us. The Republican politicians and conservative influencers weren't doing anything. Literally, again, even at this stage, this is a fight for a precedent. I really want to emphasize how important this is and how much your Republican politicians and your conservative influencers completely failed you in this regard. Had Tom Alter gotten reinstated to this job, that would have literally set the precedent that a publicly funded state university could not fire a communist calling to overthrow the government. I want to say this again. If Tom Alter had won, it would have set the precedent that at a state-funded, taxpayer-funded university, a college professor could literally call for the overthrow of the United States government and be organizing communist activism on college campuses, and there wasn't shit anyone could do about it. It would have set a completely horrible precedent that would have laid the groundwork for communists to really come out of the closet and say, oh, we can't get fired for calling to overthrow the government because it's a free speech issue. And I was hammering on this. And again, 0 Republican politicians spoke out against Tom Alter being rehired. 0 conservative influencers promoted this issue or asked their audiences to send an email to the president of Texas State University to affirm, we want the communists fired. 0 other people were doing this. It was my community and me versus them, and they were all coming at us, and they had all these organizations that were rallying and doing all these petitions and doing all these organizing things, and all we had was me and my chat emailing everyone and their mother saying, do not do this. And we won. And we won. And I want to make a point on this and say it wasn't just me, it was all of us, because all of us worked together, and we didn't let the fact that the conservative influencers and the politicians were completely ignoring the whole thing. We don't need them. We won. And I want to emphasize what a big deal this is. First, I'm going to do these super chats. Cynthia in with the 5 gifted channel memberships. Cynthia, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Everyone who got a channel membership, congrats. We got a super chat from Kristen. Big win. I see you later. Okay, well, I don't know about that, but I'll take the money. For the Get Commies Fired Fund, no let up on them. No, we're never letting up on them. Latrina says, Karlyn, thanks to you, I formed an org in my area to wake conservatives up. Email, phone, website, P.O. Box, EIN, 501c3, everything. Got a mass mail, do events, and bang on doors. Time to tribe up. You can't stop the signal. Yes, awesome, Latrina. Awesome. Let me know how I can help you in any way. I'm happy to do that. April, thanks for the sticker. Average person said, but you clipped him out of context. Well, we're going to talk about that, average person. I got something planned for that. Daniel says, Dr. Karlyn is right again. Congrats on the win for the cheese as well. Yeah, that cheese was pretty effing awesome, if I'm being honest about it. Old Sub says, Dr. Karlyn, somewhat off topic, but what's your opinion on the 6 legislators asking for the military to disobey orders with no background? I think it's a PR stunt, and I think what Trump's doing is a PR stunt. It's all a PR stunt. We should just ignore it. It's not real. It's all a PR stunt. Thanks for the super chat, though. Soul Quest, congrats. It's the white pill needed to keep going. Never surrender. Oh, I'm going to give you even more of a white pill in a second there. The brat, hey, Enrique and conservative grifters, we get legal court precedent denying those assholes. What have you done? Because we do the work unlike you. Thank you, Nick Incognito, for that. I don't recognize you with your screen name like that, but I appreciate it. We got Mitchell in. Hail to the chat. Hail to the queen. Well, I am certainly feeling very queen-like today. I am certainly feeling very queen-like today, and I'm going to tell you why. As Victor and I were driving to Boston, I was thinking about this whole thing, and I was like, getting a professor who has tenure fired, getting a professor's tenure revoked, and getting them fired from their job for being a communist, calling to overthrow the government, has that actually happened recently? And I was really thinking about this. I was like, has anyone gotten a college professor fired recently for being a communist? Has anyone actually gotten a college professor's tenure revoked for being a communist? And so I put this out there. I was like, am I the first person to get a communist college professor's tenure revoked? Because I don't know, man. I don't know. That kind of seems like a big deal to me. Cynthia, thank you again for the gifted channel memberships, my dear. Congratulations to everyone who got a gifted channel membership from Cynthia. Really, really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. And it turns out, guys, that according to Grok, I am actually the first person to get a communist college professor's tenure revoked since the McCarthy era. Literally, that's what it said. While tenure revocations for political speech remain rare in modern U.S. higher education, often challenged under the First Amendment protections, this case echoes McCarthy-era purges of suspected communists, but appears unprecedented in recent decades for explicitly targeting advocacy of revolutionary socialism. And then I was like, okay, hang on. We don't just want to use Grok because I don't actually think Grok is all that good. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, ChatGPT, hang on, let me make this bigger. ChatGPT. This week, now former Texas State University professor Tom Alter had his tenure officially revoked by the Board of Regents for being a communist calling to overthrow the government. Has that happened before in modern times? And ChatGPT said, yes, there are precedents in modern U.S. higher education history for tenured faculty members being dismissed or otherwise challenged on grounds that involved communist affiliation or subversive speech. Here are a few examples. Then it just kind of goes over the Tom Alter stuff. We've already looked at that. And then historical precedents. Yes, there are documented examples, especially during the mid-20th century or Red Scare, when professors were dismissed or tenure was denied because of communist affiliations or subversions. They've got 1949, they've got the 1950s. How the Alter case compares. Similarity, the trigger is political expression tied to socialist and communist ideology, and the institution revoked tenure or dismissed a faculty member on that basis. The difference, the older cases often occurred in a different legal regulatory environment and under investigations of subversion or loyalty oath. The modern case of Tom Alter involves a public university, free speech arguments, tenure protections, and a claimed call for overthrowing the government. Uniqueness. In the recent era, post-70s, it is relatively rare for a public university to revocably terminate tenured faculty over political speech of this kind. Many cases of tenure denial rather than post-tenure revocation, and they settle rather than going through the full Board of Regents. Also, the context for calling to overthrow the government raises different legal and constitutional questions, speech versus incitement, rather than merely party affiliation. Conclusion. So yes, there have been recent precedents, especially during the mid-20th century, of tenured or long-term faculty being dismissed for communist left subversive speech or affiliation, but the Tom Alter case appears to stand out in the current era for several reasons. And then it basically says, you can dig up some more stuff, but essentially this is confirming what Grog told me. Guys, I am the first person. We are the first people to get a communist college professor's tenure revoked since the McCarthy era for being a communist. This is a really big deal. This is going to go into the history books. And I promise you, this will not be the last one. Because now we really got to make sure we get into the history books. This is a new era of McCarthyism led by me, because the Republican politicians have completely abdicated all responsibility in this matter. They abdicated it completely. Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, told me she cared more about my use of capital letters than she did in dealing with this communist. So I did it. And we did it. We all worked together to make sure this guy got fired. And it is the first time since the McCarthy era that something like this has happened. And guys, I cannot adequately express how difficult it is to get tenure revoked. I am literally shocked that this actually held up. I really did. I wasn't even really talking about that this much because I thought he was going to get his job back. But we won. We won. We made history with this. And, listen, I think that we need to do some celebrating. Because I was working against all sorts of lefty outlets, like the Chronicle for Higher Education, who were saying to me, well, didn't you just clip him out of context? And this is the argument that they've been making. Karlyn clipped him out of context. He really didn't mean it. Okay. Bluff called motherfuckers. Because tomorrow, I have made the decision that in order to celebrate this momentous occasion, tomorrow on Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we are doing a special episode in which we are going to watch the entire presentation that Tom Alter made this comment in. We are going to watch the presentation from start to finish. I have not shown this full presentation publicly yet. I have released a lot of clips. There's a lot of golden nuggets in this presentation. There's a ton of stuff. You guys want to accuse me of taking something out of context? I will play the entire fucking video, motherfuckers, and I will show people exactly what he said. And maybe we'll watch some other stuff from this conference too. I still have all of the presentations from this conference in their full form recorded because of course I do. So that is going to be tomorrow for Socialism Saturday, and that's what we're going to do. And they can cry all they want about it. We won, they lost. Average person, what we thought was an inconsequential event turned out to be a historical moment in the rise of McCarlynism. Yes. Our McCarthy crusade, our modern day McCarthyism is on the rise, guys. Thank you, Donnie Girl, for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Like, and I really want to emphasize what Average Person just said. Literally no one in my community, including me, thought this was going to be a big deal when it happened. Because we're so used to putting stuff out like this, and we're so used to it getting ignored, that we just really didn't think anything was going to happen. Well, we were wrong. We literally made history, guys. We literally made history. We made history with the first 10-year revocation of a college professor for being a communist and calling to overthrow the government since the McCarthy era. And we thought it was just another infiltration. We thought it was just another stream. How cool is that? So I wanted to do one more special surprise before tomorrow. And I know you guys have been asking for a McCarlynism t-shirt. I know, but I've been really busy with other stuff, okay? But I'll do you a solid. I'm going to do you a solid, okay? To celebrate the firing of Tom Alter and this momentous occasion, I'm going to do some capitalism. You guys want to do some capitalism with me? Let's do some capitalism, guys, because in the Red Menace Supply Company, which is redmenacesupply.com, I'm putting it in the chat right now. This is my merchandise store. And thank you, Angry Gringo, over on Rumble for the super chat. More munitions to our dear leader's war chest. I appreciate it. I am doing a special sale to, well, that should say 25%. Hang on. That should say 25%. Hang on one second. That's a typo. I'm going to fix it. Hang on. We're going to do this right. I literally just set this up right before the stream, so pardon the typo. I'm going to fix it. I'm not giving you 2% off. I'm giving you 25% off. The discount code works for 25%. We're going to make sure this is correct. Hang on. 25% off. Wait. Reload. Boom. There we go. That's better. That's better. That's better. That's better. We are doing 25% off the McCarthy series, ladies and gentlemen. That includes the Are You an Anti-Communist McCarthy shirt that I wore on my last Fox News appearance. I'm literally wearing it now. It is one of my favorite shirts. You've also got the McCarthy is Right series, where we have 5 different options for McCarthy was right, and you can pick out whatever one you like the most. Click into the design and you can see what it comes on. T-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, tank tops. We got some hoodies. We got some sticker packs. We got all sorts of cool stuff in there. Shot glasses sometimes when I do those. If you want it on any other merch, you can let me know and I will put it on other merch that you guys want. All of these designs are 25% off through the end of November to celebrate our epic resurgence of the McCarthy era. We are ushering it in. No one else is doing shit. I think we're going to see that pretty clearly today, unironically. It's us versus them, and we cannot rely on anyone. So we got to do it ourselves. And that's just the way it goes. Again, that is redmenacesupply.com, and you can get that merch along with any other merch you want. We are going to be doing a special Christmas sale this year. So not yet, but we will be doing a Christmas edition as well with some limited edition stuff. Tayton, thank you. So are you telling me a magatard has never gotten a 10-year professor fired? Seems like one is a grifter and the other is authentic. It's a double win. Yeah, are you guys telling me that Enrique Tarrio has never gotten a 10-year college professor fired? Are you telling me that Chad Canton has never gotten a college professor fired? Are you telling me that all those idiots who tried to say I was a secret leftist have never gotten a 10-year college professor fired? Oh, imagine my shock. Imagine my shock and amazement at that. So guys, if you appreciate the work I do and you want to support it, the very best way, in addition to buying that merch, is to head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, Karlyn .substack.com, and you can sign up for a membership, $8 a month, $80 a year. We did a bunch of spy streams this week. We got Ilhan Omar on video yesterday calling for a boycott of any organization that wants to work with ICE and that sort of thing. And if you want to support that type of work, feel free to sign up for the Substack. Send in a super chat, whatever you guys want to do. And it's all good, man. It's all good. All right, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Oh, wait. Well, let me do that last. So, This, I think, might be rather depressing for us to watch, but I feel like we have a professional obligation to watch it. I really kind of hemmed and hawed about it. Hey, two ladies, thank you for that. Can I ask my family here to say a few prayers for my aunt? She had a very serious stroke last night and has been in the ER. She was moved to intensive care. Not sure where we go from here. I'm really sorry to hear that, two ladies. I'm sure everyone in the chat is going to be praying for you, praying for your family, praying for your aunt. If you don't pray, send positive energy, just good thoughts of healing and wellness and all of that stuff. And I appreciate you. And I'm real sorry to hear that. But we're definitely all pulling for you and your aunt. And I appreciate you being here and a part of our little club. So I feel like we have a professional obligation to watch this, even though I really don't want to, but I feel like we have to, okay? Sometimes we have to eat our vegetables. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do. And that's just the way it goes. And so I feel like we have a professional obligation to watch this. Earlier today, as I was making history by being the first person since the McCarthy era to get a tenured professor fired from his job for being a communist, the House of Representatives, in a truly stunning and brave moment, had a rigorous debate over the horrors of socialism in advance of Zoran Mandami meeting with Trump and apparently becoming his new best friend. And so it was streamed, of course, and I guess we probably should watch it. But one of the things I want people to know that I was actually really amazed by, so this, of course, is nothing more than a PR stunt. This doesn't really mean anything. And do you know how I know? Do you guys know how I know this doesn't mean anything? Do you guys know how I know? Check this out. Check this out. Did you guys know that the House passed exactly the same resolution under Joe Biden as they just passed today? Did you guys know that they literally did this exact same thing like 2 years ago under Joe Biden? Look at this. You don't have to take my word for it. I was doing some research today. This is from the 118th Congress, 2023 to 2024, House Resolution 9, denouncing the horrors of socialism. They literally did this 2 years ago under Joe Biden. Starbright, thank you. Monumental achievement. Hope we can have the McCarlinism merch for Christmas. Yes, I'm going to do the McCarlinism merch. Okay, relax. I'm going to do it. Fine. So we have seen the second moment in less than 5 years in which the House has had a rigorous debate and a denouncement of communism. Okay, so that was in 2023 to 2024, and then we've got this one, exactly the same resolution, guys. They even use the same language. It's the same language, denouncing the horrors of socialism, introduced by Representative Salazar Maria Elvira. Nice name. This year's denouncing the horrors of socialism, introduced by Representative Salazar Maria. It is literally exactly the same resolution. It's the same resolution they passed 2 years ago. It's exactly the same one. There's no difference. So, yeah, I think this is like the only way that we can really read this. Our politicians literally hate us. They literally hate us. They are wasting our time. They are wasting our money. They're doing these PR vanity exercises. None of them know shit about shit. They don't actually do anything to stop communism. And we know that because they literally did this exact same thing 2 effing years ago. And of course, no one wants to talk about that. So, I thought this is an hour long. I thought, do I really want to watch this because it's going to make me angry? I thought, do I really want to watch this because I know that listening to these politicians talk about communism is going to make me angry. I just know it. But then I thought, it's our professional obligation. And you know what? I actually think it's going to make us feel good because in watching this, we're going to realize how much better we are than these people. This is really gonna solidify the fact, guys, that these people aren't going to do anything to help us. These people aren't going to do anything to stop the left. None of them care. I don't care if they're on the left or the right or the Democrats or the Republicans, because they're all the same, basically. None of them know what the F they're talking about. None of them actually care about solving this problem. None of them got a tenured communist college professor fired. I got a communist college professor fired. They didn't do shit. So we have to watch it. We have to watch it, and we have to talk about it. We have to see how clueless they are. But one thing is for sure. I need a beer. I need a beer. I need a beer. And I deserve a beer. And you all deserve a beer if you drink. If you don't drink, that's fine too. Go have a nice sparkling water or something, whatever. I think I've earned a beer. And it's happy hour. And yes, I went to the beer store. And yes, I have 4 beers. And I'm going to let you guys vote on which one I drink first. Hang on. You guys thought I forgot? Oh no. Oh no. I'm not going to watch this without alcohol. Are you insane? So, the tradition on Fridays on this channel is that I go to the craft beer store, I get 4 craft beers, not that I'm going to drink all of them on stream, although I might. It's because there's 4 rings to a thing. And so, 4 is a nice even number. Whatever. I bring those 4 beers back. I tell you guys about them, and you guys get to vote on which beer I drink first. The first beer we have has got a really cool bottle. Or can, rather, and I like that. This is brewed by Barrel Souls Brewing Company in Saco, Maine. This is called Summer Jam. It is a tart fruit ale with strawberry and rhubarb. I love a good strawberry rhubarb beer, man. It's real good. And of course, summer is long since over, but we can still enjoy a nice sour ale. So that's going to be our first one, strawberry rhubarb. Our second one, I'm not sure about this one, but it's got a moose on the can. And this is called Powder Season. And it is by, who's it by? That's a good question. Greater Good Brewing in Worcester, Massachusetts. And this is an 8% imperial beer. 8% is you're going to get drunk. A winter ale with real cherries. I love cherries in beer. Cherries in beer can be awesome. Sam Adams does a cherry wheat beer that's very, very, very good. So that is our second option. It is the cherry winter ale. Our third option is another imperial, another Karlyn, we're going to get you drunk beer. This is from the Berkshire Brewing Company, and this is also going to be in Massachusetts, the bustling communist utopia. And this is an Imperial Mocha Porter. It's going to be a very dark beer, and it's going to be a little chocolatey and a little coffee-y, and that sounds really good to me. So that is our third option, and this is, I think, also 8% alcohol. Something like that. No, 10%. 10% alcohol. So this is Karlyn's going to get real drunk. But the last one, it might be the one I'm most excited about. If I had a vote, but I don't. This is from Night Shift Brewing Company, also out of the bustling metropolis that is Boston. And this is a Belgian waffle beer. Now, I've had one other waffle beer, and actually it's one of my favorite beers. It's called Waffle Cone, and it's very, very good. It's light, it's crisp. I really like it. This is a Belgian blonde ale with cinnamon and maple syrup, and that is our final choice. So we're going to put the poll in the chat, and this is only on YouTube. Sorry, Rumble, you guys are out of luck. Sorry, Rumble, although I do see you guys. Mass Genocide, I see you over on Rumble. Pull the Rumble chat out here. So this poll is only for YouTube. And again, we have our strawberry rhubarb ale. We have our winter ale with cherries. We have our Imperial Mocha Porter. The cherry ale is also an Imperial. And then we have our Belgian waffle. And you guys let me know which one you want me to drink first. And while you're doing that, I will get this video up. And since we're all going to be miserable together for a little while, whatever. Okay. If you guys are planning on drinking something fun in the chat, please let us know. Oh, this is Runaway. You guys are giving me my wish. I'm drinking Belgian waffle. Okay, hang on. No, the Imperial is losing. Hang on. All right. All right, all right. It looks like the Belgian waffle has won handily. I have my snifter from the Packy store here, my snifter wine glass, and we're going to be drinking it in that. Actually, let me do the pour so you guys can see it. I'm excited. It says this is breakfast in a can. Leave the Goats Alone says, it was always my opinion that Republicans and Democrats split in 1824 to forever keep themselves in power. That might be true. I appreciate the super chat. Let's see. Look, it's so light. Oh, this is going to be good. I can already tell. It's going to be a good beer. There we go. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Happy Friday. We got Tate in here. Wow, whoever didn't vote for Imperial doesn't want Victor to get lucky tonight. I mean, listen, my husband fell asleep on the couch as soon as we got home. So let's not even pretend that I'm going to see my husband for the rest of the night. My husband had a big day. We ate a bunch of food today, and he was falling asleep on the way home, and he was driving, so that wasn't really good. So we're letting him take a nap. All right, relax. I've been married to the man for 14 years. I promise you, we've had sex before, and we're going to have sex again. I promise you. But let the man sleep. Let him sleep, Tayton. Okay? Let him sleep. Cheers, everyone. Oh, that's good. You know what? You take a sip of this and it's very light and crisp. And then it hits you with the maple syrup. The maple syrup isn't pronounced at first. It's very light and crisp, and then all of a sudden, boom, maple syrup. That's an interesting beer. Yeah, that's good. Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. All right, let's get into this video. Oh, this is probably going to suck, but we're going to do it anyway. We are going to feel the fear. We are going to embrace the suck, and we're going to do it anyway, guys. We are going to listen to the House of Representatives earlier today talk about the horrors of socialism. Let's get this party started. This is our government
For what
in
purpose
action.
does the gentleman from Arkansas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Resolution 879, I call up the concurrent resolution, House Concurrent Resolution 58, and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution 58, concurrent resolution denouncing the horrors of socialism.
Pursuant to House Resolution 879, the
stunning,
concurrent
so brave.
resolution is considered as read. The concurrent resolution shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking member of the Committee on Financial Services or their respective designees. The gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Hill, and the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Waters, each will control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas.
I thank the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the concurrent resolution under consideration.
Without objection.
I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, a yes vote on this resolution should be a relatively straightforward, easy decision. It simply states that Congress denounces socialism in all its forms and opposes the implementations of socialist policies in the United States of America. It's a statement that I would hope all of our elected leaders in the United States, up and down our system of government, could support. Socialism ignores the side of man and woman that is the spirit. It dulls the human capacity for self-initiative, entrepreneurship, risk-taking. For those that have concerns about the resolution, I just invite you to read it. It outlines the pain and hardship experienced by millions around the world who have suffered under socialist regimes. This is something that the sponsor of the resolution, Congresswoman Salazar of Florida, has focused on combating for her entire career.
Fuck. I forgot something. I forgot something deeply important. Okay. We're going to be responsible and we're going to watch all this, but Do you guys want to hear something funny before we do? I totally forgot about this. I was gonna do this in the intro. Do you guys want to hear something funny and hilarious before we do this? This is gonna it'll get us in the mood. Okay. I apologize for forgetting. Tim Pool yesterday, I think, called for Joel Berry to denounce James Lindsay. And in his call for Joe Berry to denounce James Lindsay, Tim called James a polyamorous liberal. Rare Timmy W. Rare win. Maybe Timmy Tim is coming around. Maybe we underestimated Timmy Tim. Maybe he's coming around. Maybe he's starting to figure shit out. Rare Tim W. Let's watch.
Because it's coming from someone who's oppressed. And the same thing on the right. If we have no enemies to the right, what you end up seeing all the time is someone defending wickedness because it's coming from someone who is on the right, who's supposed to be your friend.
Will you condemn James Lindsay?
For what?
For no enemies to the right. Well, he's certainly at odds with your moral worldview, destructive to its ends, and aligning with him has caused you problems. Will you speak out? Will you say this guy is bad? We should not be working with him. We should be, first of all, he's not a Christian. He's a polyamorous liberal who has been putting out false arguments to make your argument fall apart.
Yeah.
And I think not you personally.
Yeah. No.
But I've seen this faction of individuals intentionally align with him because it grants them power and they want to use it.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. Well, James Lindsay has shot himself in the foot a little bit with this kind of over application of the woke right term.
Yeah, I think once he started calling Orthodox pro-Israel Jews woke right, might have jumped the shark.
Hold on, I guess I want to finish my train of thought with him because he. At a core,
just a reminder that Orrin McIntyre is an intellectually dishonest dickwad who is literally no different than James Lindsay. Orrin McIntyre thinks he's above James Lindsay. Orrin McIntyre is not above James Lindsay. Orrin McIntyre is just as intellectually dishonest as James Lindsay, and you will never convince me otherwise.
Level, I do appreciate what he's doing, even though he shoots himself in the foot and he's really good at making enemies. He is a freedom first guy. He cares about preserving freedom. And so
freedom first. Okay.
When it comes to his faith, he's not an atheist anymore. He's He's at least agnostic, and I'm praying for his conversion. He's been reading the Bible a lot.
I
won't say any more about him because I don't know, but this is one thing I'll say. The last time I was with James Lindsay, it was at a libertarian convention, a bunch of godless libertarians. No offense.
A lot of libertarians.
At one point, he had done his presentation. Someone asked a question during the Q&A, like, how do we save this country? And he said, the only way I see for us to save this country is for you to get back into your Bible, find a church and go to church and pray earnestly for our country. And he wasn't pandering. This wasn't a crowd of evangelicals. So,
according to James Lindsay's stepdaughter, who I personally know and have talked to about this issue, significantly more than 50% of James's audience were Christian churches, of his paying audience. The people that were paying James Lindsay to come and do lectures in their organizations were Christians. When James made this big declaration of denouncing Archangel Michael, calling Catholics woke right, and doing all of that crazy shit that he did a year ago, and then it comes out because James Lindsay's stepdaughter posted it on Twitter, which is that James forced his wife to be in an open marriage that she didn't want to be in because James wanted to fuck all the Moms for Liberty at all of his events. So James had women all over the country that he was fucking. That's why Tim Pool called him polyamorous. He's not actually polyamorous, by the way, because his wife does not sleep with anyone outside of their marriage. In fact, I happen to know from one of the women James was sleeping with, because I know one of the women James was sleeping with. I'm friends with one of the women James was sleeping with, which I didn't know at the time, but I found it out later. James actually has scheduled cuddle time with his wife in which he's not allowed to talk to any of his other women when he is on his scheduled alone cuddle time with his wife, because his wife was not fucking around outside their marriage. James was. And it was James's idea to be in the open marriage in the first place. Anyway, I bring that up because when all of this information made it out into the public because James Lindsay's stepdaughter posted it on Twitter because she was pissed off at him, basically, James lost all of his Christian clients. I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why someone denounces Archangel Michael, someone makes this big show of like Catholics being the woke right and all this stuff, and then it comes out that they're polyamorous and they force their wife to be in an open marriage so they could fuck all their groupies. I can't imagine why the churches that were hiring James to be a consultant and to come in and do speaking with him, I can't imagine why they had a problem with this. Who could have seen that coming? So I'm saying this because people in my community have been taking bets for a long time about when James was going to do his Christian conversion, because there is no fucking universe in which James is actually becoming a Christian. There's literally no universe in which James is actually becoming a Christian. And again, I've confirmed this with his stepdaughter, okay? And I'm going to say his stepdaughter probably knows a lot more about the situation than Joel Berry, since she actually had to live with him. There is no universe in which James is becoming a Christian. He is pretending to be a Christian in order to win back his Christian clients, or he's pretending that he maybe is open to converting to Christianity. And if the Lord speaks to him in the right way, and when he says this to Christians, Christians get down on their knees and they start praying and they say, "We will save you, Jimmy." And then James has his miraculous conversion. And he goes, "I have found Jesus." And then he gets all the Christian money back. That's the plan here. That's what's going on. James is doing a fake conversion to Christianity because he lost all of his Christian clients when he went after them in the first place over a year ago. That is the entire story. Hey, thanks, Malcolm. Yeah, I know what's up, man. I know people like don't ever piss me off because I know what's going on with everyone. People think I don't talk to people. I do talk to people. I just don't make it public until it's convenient for me.
He wasn't pandering. He was talking to a bunch of, godless libertarians. And so my point is, I don't agree with Lindsay on everything, obviously. But I will unite with a guy who tells people that our hope is scripture, church, and prayer.
So does Nick.
Over a professed Christian who says, Hitler was cool, 15-year-olds or all the stuff, all the nasty stuff that Nick Fuentes has said, or
and how about all
a professed Christian who says
I reject this. James Lindsay is the other side of the coin for Nick Fuentes in this argument. You are overlooking the things he does that is destructive to you because he said things that benefits you. And there are many people who would say similarly of Nick, perhaps Tucker Carlson. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but while certainly Nick has said a bunch of abhorrent things, like you mentioned, saying, Hitler, Stalin, all these guys, there are a lot of people saying no enemies to the right. Well, at least he is a Christian, and at least he is espousing that message.
He's not a Christian,
and young men are following it.
Yeah,
neither is James Lindsay. But you would be willing to unite with a guy.
It's like there's some kind of friend-enemy distinction governing political coalitions. Look, so
that's the other. I mean,
I want to make this one important point on the issue I take with. I see these. I don't know how you want to describe the faction of people that are more in your camp. I believe James Lindsay opposes your worldview and is trying to destroy it. I believe that his Christianity
being what
Christianity
he's trying to destroy Christianity
and conservatism.
I disagree.
This is a man whose entire body of work is infiltrating groups and presenting arguments that make them look retarded. And he is doing that to you right now, and you're going along with it because there is some benefit you received. So ignoring all of the destructive things he's done, he's cost you allies, he's created enemies, and he's dismantled your own arguments, which is literally what he's done on the left now to you. And you're like, well, but he said some things that are beneficial to me, so I'll keep it.
What, and maybe I'm just naive, but
yes, you are.
I see
yes,
someone who is
no.
standing up for what he believes in
He's
at great
trying
cost
so
to
hard.
himself.
Joel Berry
He's
is
kind of
thinking
lost
so
everything.
You're saying no enemies to the right in the exact same way.
So rare Timmy win, rare Timmy win, James Lindsay L, Joel Berry L, or Orrin McIntyre L, because Orrin McIntyre is an intellectually dishonest dickwad. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. That's it. Okay, we ate our desserts, we ate our cheese, if you will. Now we got to go back and watch this. And I know we don't want to, and I know it's really gonna suck, but we have to. Okay, I'm sorry, we have to go back and do this now. Everyone get serious. All right.
Congresswoman Salazar is the daughter of Cuban exiles and was born in Miami's Little Havana. Representative Salazar has led the charge against socialist policies. This resolution today is just one example of her commitment to her constituents and our entire nation. The contrast between the successful policies under market capitalism and the freedom associated with particularly our robust democracy here in America and socialism across the world and in history could not be starker.
Yo, you're drinking alcohol?
I cannot express this
Wow,
enough.
average person.
This resolution is just not
Thank you.
a messaging bill, or as some from across the aisle have called it, a waste of time. It's not that. To the people and the families who have experienced the horrors and atrocities associated with socialist regimes. So I want to thank Congresswoman Salazar for her work on this. I urge my colleagues to vote on both sides of the aisle a vigorous yes on this resolution, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Arkansas reserves. The gentlewoman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Nice.
I wish we were here on the House floor this morning debating solutions that would reduce grocery bills, lower housing costs, end Trump's tariffs strangling American small businesses and manufacturers, solve the Republican health care crisis, or any legislation that allows Americans to afford to live through the catastrophic economic policies of Trump and the Republicans. But instead of doing the work of our constituents desperately want us to do, Republicans in the House have chosen once again to advance a resolution under the guise of denouncing, quote, socialism. Let me be clear. This resolution is an embarrassing distraction from the complete and total failure of the Trump administration to deliver actual results for the American people. And the American people see right through it. 61% of Americans say that Trump's policies have worsened economic conditions in this country, quote unquote. And 64% of Americans say Trump policies are raising the prices of food and groceries. What's worse is that this resolution, this very resolution, goes further by using the specter of socialism to undermine some of the most important government.
The specter. Mad Maxine quoting the Communist Manifesto on the House floor. People who don't know. For people who don't know. Manifesto of the Communist Party. I don't want that. That's not what we're looking for. They have all these different okay, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking at that preamble. That's what I want. The very first line in the Communist Manifesto. A specter is haunting Europe. The specter of communism. Maxine coming in with the quote from the Communist Manifesto. Hey, Tolkien fan, hell hath frozen over. I'm agreeing with Maxine Waters. Well, she is right that there's better things we can be doing with her time. I don't think I agree with her quoting the Communist Manifesto on the House floor.
This very resolution goes further by using the specter of socialism to undermine some of the most important government programs in our country, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and Obamacare, programs that help everyday Americans put food on their plate and care for their children. Republicans absurdly think they can convince Americans these programs that are decades old are leading America toward a stimulus Russian, even though it is blatantly obvious that the policies of Donald Trump are straight out of a dictator's playbook.
Oh my God.
Mr. Speaker, the
I
House
wish.
returned this week from the Trump Republican shutdown, the longest government shutdown in American history.
That's just
And while
too
House
bad.
Republicans gave themselves a paid 2-month vacation, hundreds of thousands of federal employees were left wondering how they were going to pay their rent or mortgage, and 42 million Americans nearly lost their food assistance. And what was the Trump administration doing? Instead of working with Congress to end the shutdown or with local communities to blunt the impacts of the shutdown, it decided to use the full force of the United States government to make sure these American families went hungry, fought twice in the Supreme Court to block legally available funds for being used to help feed them, further chipped away at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and fired an entire office dedicated to helping rural and struggling communities.
If I had to predict, I think one of the most depressing parts of watching this is not going to be the Democrats like doing what Maxine Waters is doing and saying we need to use government money to help poor people. I don't think that's going to be the worst part of this. I think the worst part of this is going to be watching the Republicans make their very best argument against socialism. Because remember, guys, I quite frankly give a fuck about Maxine Waters. If you think Maxine Waters is the most important thing about this hearing, you're not paying attention. The most important thing about this hearing is going to be the piss poor arguments that Republicans are going to make about socialism and communism in the United States today, because what they are going to demonstrate through their actions is they actually have no clue about real socialism and communism in the United States. And that's going to provide a sharp contrast, because on this channel, unless you're very new, we watch the real socialists and communists. And so what the Republicans are going to do in this whatever this is, what the Republicans are going to do is that they're going to talk about the history and all the people who died and blah, 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 blah. But what they're going to do is they're going to demonstrate that they actually have no idea what is going on today. And no, this is a Republican pussy answer. This is a Republican retard answer. At least they're doing something. No, they're not. No, they're not. And if you think that this is progress, then you are fucking insane and unhinged from reality. What they are doing is doing what women do when we say we're going to clean the house, but instead of cleaning the house, what we do is we move the pile of stuff from one room into another room. Does anyone else do this? Does anyone else do this? You're like, I need to clean this room. This room's getting a little messy. And you take the pile of stuff from the room and you move it into another room. Now, have you really cleaned it? No, you've taken the mess and you've moved it into another room. You have relocated the mess. You haven't actually accomplished anything. It's just like, oh, this is so much better. You still have the fucking mess. Like, literally nothing has changed. So to say, well, this is progress, no, it's not. They literally did this exact same exercise 2 years ago and nothing changed. So stop saying this is progress when it's not fucking progress. They are not doing anything. Yeah, they're literally sweeping it under the rug. It's all still there, but you can't see it, but it's all still there.
The Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. All of this because Republicans want to raise the cost for people with Obamacare, health insurance. 22 million Americans will see their monthly health insurance premiums double, and up to 5 million Americans will likely lose their insurance altogether. Where is the Republican plan? Where's the plan?
That's
Where's the
actually a good
plan to
question.
deal with all of this?
That's actually a
They
good
don't have
question.
one because
No, they don't.
they think keeping health care costs low is socialist. If Republicans truly cared about denouncing authoritarian socialism, they'd start with the Trump administration. In less than 1 year, the Trump administration has demanded U.S. companies like Intel, U.S. Steel, MP Materials, Lithium Americas, and Triology Metals to hand over stock to the U.S. government, the President of the United States, capitalist countries, companies who are doing business that they claim they support, that this government supports. Trump is also considering forcing Lockheed Martin to do the same. Why are my colleagues who are so quick to tout their capitalist leans silent when Trump follows China's communist tactics? The double standard is astounding. This resolution also seeks to condemn atrocities committed by despotic regimes such as Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong, while everyone in this chamber agrees should be condemned. But somehow, once again, this resolution fails to condemn
Once again, 'cause
some of
the
the
second time
history's
they've done this
most
in 3
terrible
years.
dictators like Adolf Hitler and modern day dictators like Vladimir Putin,
Oh
who
my
is responsible for killing countless people in Ukraine, or President Tsai, who basically runs actual concentration camps for ethnic minorities. Why aren't House Republicans denouncing these dictators when we as Congress can actually do something to stop? Probably because President Trump has said he thinks Putin has done, quote, a great job, quote, unquote, and is a genius. Or maybe because he thinks President Tsai is really a friend of mine, quote, unquote. In time with these authoritarian regimes, just last week, Trump said Democrats in the House and Senate had committed seditious behavior, punishable by death, and reposted a post saying, hang them. We should be working as Congress to denounce these horrific words, not beloved government programs like Medicare and Medicaid. And just as those authoritarian regimes are often rife with corruption, the Trump family is also doing everything possible to enrich itself. Since taking office, they have issued their own stable coins and meme coins and various crypto products, even as Congress was in the middle of considering legislation and regulators were drafting rules. In fact, the Trump family is more than $1 billion richer from crypto alone since Trump took office, and Trump's billionaire buddies have also made fistfuls of money as the rest of America struggles to just put food on the table. The access is so great that Trump is literally tearing down the White House to build a golden
Oh
ballroom.
my God.
Sending $40 billion to bail out Argentina and his billionaire buddies, and hosting Great Gatsby theme parties at Mar-a-Lago. This resolution is a huge waste of time and does not absolutely nothing to lower costs or solve any of the problems that our country faces. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this resolution. And if they keep it up, I'm going to name all of the Republicans who took PPP money. Is that socialism? I'm going to name them.
Yeah, actually,
who are
that
taking
was.
advantage
Yeah.
of other programs that they call socialist. I'm going to do it if they keep this up. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this resolution, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The lady from California reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
I thank the speaker. I always enjoy my good friend from California's long lectures to this House on her views about current events. Always grateful for her point of view. I would share from my perspective that the shutdown was born fully and responsibly or irresponsibly perhaps, by the United States Senate, by just a handful of Democratic senators with their leader, Mr. Schumer, that refused to keep the government open while we continue debates about something we do
Mass
every day here, which
genocide
is
says
what are the
Muddy
ways and
Maxine is
means to
insufferable.
fund
Yes, she is
the
mass
American
genocide.
government.
Appreciate it.
This body in this House under Speaker Mike Johnson, with bipartisan vote, I might add, had a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open for those 42 days. Yet in the Senate, 14 times, Senate Democrats denied funding to air traffic control, denied funding to farm assistance, denied funding for all the federal programs, inconveniencing states, hurting families, hurting federal workers. And perhaps unlike some, I certainly gave up my pay for those 42 days by direction to this House that I was not going to be paid personally as a member of Congress while we see this kind of lack of responsibility out of the Senate. But today we're talking about here in the most vigorous democracy in the land, in our 250th year, we're talking about rejecting socialism that punishes freedom, punishes individual action, tears families apart. That's what we're here to talk about. We're not here to rattle down about current events. So, the gentlewoman from Florida, Congresswoman Salazar leads our Western Hemisphere subcommittee in the House Foreign Relations Committee. And what better person, Mr. Speaker, to have this responsibility? Born in Little Havana in Miami, daughter of Cuban exiles, let her tell you how cushy life was under Castro's communist socialist dictatorship. I yield the gentlewoman 5 minutes.
From Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Honorable gentleman from Arkansas, the distinguished French Hill, Chairman of the Finance Services Committee. I thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be serving with you in your committee. And I'm just going, before I start, before I explain to this body why I'm introducing this resolution. When I was a journalist covering stories for Univision Network, I interviewed many people who had lost their legs or their brothers or sisters in the middle of the ocean, trying to get to Miami, and the sharks ate them up. Some of them were eaten up alive, others lost legs, and they made it to Florida. And I was able, as a journalist, to interview them and see the horrors of what they had to go through because they were escaping the paradise called socialism. So I'm just going to start with that, and I'm going to finish maybe with another anecdote. But the reason why we're introducing this resolution is to condemn the horrors of socialism, and I'm presenting just the facts. And I invite my colleagues on the other side to vote to condemn this nefarious ideology. This has nothing to do with political parties. This is not a Democratic issue. This is not a Republican issue. This is a moral vote against an ideology that has destroyed millions and millions of families. Many of them, I serve those families in District Number 27, the heart of the city of Miami, the heart of the Cuban exile community, and now the Venezuelan community, and murdered more than 100 million lives, besides crushing hundreds of thousands of other families and individuals. Unfortunately, socialism and Marxism crushes the human soul. And
again, I really just want to point this out because we're about to hear a sad story, and that sad story is true. I really want people to think about how much primary source evidence exists today that is completely public, that they could be playing video clips of communists calling to overthrow the government that are today in America. They could be playing video clips of communists today in America calling to abolish parental rights. They could be playing clips of communists today in America talking about the complete abolition of the nuclear family, the complete abolition of gender. They could be playing clips of communists in America today talking about growing kids in biobags and getting rid of private kitchens. They could go to my fucking Substack and show people the Be Queer Do Terrorism manifesto that literally calls for queer people people to do terrorism in order to overthrow capitalism. There are so many things. There are so many things. And I'm not going to say that what the horrors of Cuba are, okay, fine, whatever. Like, obviously, like communist Cuba is not like necessarily a great situation. Obviously, Mao was not good. Obviously, Stalin was not good. But like, I really just want to emphasize to this. They have access to all this information of things that are going on the radical revolutionary far left in America, not in Cuba, not in China, not in Russia, in America right now. And they don't know any of it because they haven't bothered to research and they don't listen and they refuse to look at evidence. They could be playing all the clips that I show you guys from all the communist trainings that we watch on the House floor. They could have had a whole hearing just dedicated to that fact-finding mission. Communism and socialism in the United States right now. Do they do that? No. Cuba, Venezuela, China, Russia. And they're all very sad stories and they're historically accurate, fine. But none of these people has any idea about real communism and real socialism in the United States right now.
It's not just my community in Miami, millions of Cubans who had to flee. And it's the rest of the hemisphere and the rest of the world. Just look at Russia, look at North Korea, look at Iran. And what a coincidence that today President Trump is receiving in the White House the major-elect Mr. Mondani.
What a coincidence that we introduced this resolution that I also introduced 2 years ago on the day that Zoran Mondani is winning the White House. What a coincidence. Jeff, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Queen Bee, can you refresh my memory on your take on the relative significance of the difference between communism and socialism? I don't see them. Okay, so how I look at it is this. I look at how real communists and socialists refer to themselves, and I have heard many times communists and socialists calling themselves socialists, communists, and Marxists interchangeably in the same sentence. So while philosophically there may be differences and socialism is the transitionary mechanism to communism and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, whatever, fine. But in the real world, far left people will refer to themselves as socialists, communists, and Marxists interchangeably. And it just depends on like what event they're at, that they choose it based on usually the crowd that they're in. But they use them just functionally they are the same. That's how I feel about it.
From
hang on, we got another super chat. Sorry about this, guys. Hang on. 2 ladies. It is so frustrating after all these years of our research seeing how so few understand the actual issues. Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, okay. So again, there are philosophical differences between communism and socialism. Socialism is the transitionary mechanism to communism. Fine. But just in terms of practicality, when I call someone a communist or a socialist, I'm basically saying the same thing because I'm mirroring their language. They use the two terms interchangeably. They don't have a distinction at like a functional level, if that makes sense. Yeah, she said Iran. Yeah, she did. I'm sure that was a coincidence. So let's listen to that again.
Today, President Trump is receiving in the White House the major-elect Mr. Mondani from the city of New York or from New York City. And I salute the president for receiving Mr. Mondani because he won fair and square, and that's the way democracy works. But let me just tell you something, knowing very well how Fidel works and how Hugo Chavez works and how socialism works, that I just want to put this into perspective. If it were to be the other way around, and Trump would have been the mayor-elect, and Mondani were to be the president of the United States, I assure you that there's no way that Mondani is
She's
going to
right about
receive
that.
Trump at the White House.
Yeah, she's
Period.
right. Yeah, that's
and
great.
how do I know that? Because I know exactly how they operate. Democracy is just a tool to get to power. Period. People
True.
who love freedom,
True.
We're just useful fools to be used in order to get to the business of power, which is all socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. If it's not democracy and freedom and free market economy, it's just a bad ideology. And unfortunately, that's what they do to achieve power. They use us. Just look at Venezuela. Oh my God, Venezuela, it's in the news, right? Everyone is talking about Venezuela. Oh my God, the Caribbean. Well, let me just give you the facts. Maria Corina Machado, who is the legitimate president of Venezuela, who won 80-20 after President Biden gave the opportunity, President Biden gave the opportunity to Maduro to do fair and square election and transparent elections, right? 2 years ago, Maduro signs a document by the name of the Barbados Agreement. And he agrees to the Biden administration and to Juan Gonzalez, who used to be the national security advisor at the time for Latin America, that he was going to leave if he did not win the elections. And he signed that document with the Biden administration. And what did he do? He just spit on Biden's face. Because we believed that, oh my God, Biden, look what he's doing. It's good. It's a good idea. Give the opportunity to Maduro to just create and to conduct free and fair and transparent elections with international observers. And he was going to go. Look where he's at now. Maduro is not only the head of the Suns cartel, one of the most important drug trafficking cartels in the world. He was indicted in 2020 by a federal grand jury in this country for being one of the major drug traffickers in the world. Not only that, he is now on the transnational criminal organization. Not only that, he is the head of the Suns cartel. And you tell me, Chairman, if I can.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield the gentlewoman an additional minute.
The lady from Florida is recognized for 1 minute.
So, I mean, as you can see, I can speak until tomorrow about socialism. And the problem is that Venezuela is the perfect example. And the Venezuelans would make fun of the Cubans 25 years ago, saying that it was impossible for that to happen in Venezuela. They had the largest reserves of oil in the world. They were a very strong democracy. They were not an island. It was impossible. They had such a strong economy. Look right now, the average Venezuelan weighs 15 pounds less because of lack of food. And look, the Trump administration has to come and rescue them from what they have turned that country into. So we're at a crossroads in this country. Young Americans, 70% believe that socialism is good. 1 in 3 believe that government should control major industries. 1 in 4 says that we should abolish private property. It's my duty as a representative, district number 27, the heart.
Should we reach out to her? Listen, she might have no fucking clue about real communism and socialism in America. I think that that's very clear. But what is compelling to me about her is that, well, she knows the private property thing. That's actually okay. Listen, my bar is very low. My bar is extremely low in regards to Republican politicians. I'm fairly certain she's one of maybe 3 Republicans in all of Washington, D.C. who understand the private property thing. So she's already passed the main hurdle in that she has some semblance of what this is. And she does seem to think that this is actually important. She has passion about it. She's shaking. She really actually has passion about this. Should we reach out to her? Maybe we should. Maybe we should. And then she gets an opportunity to do something about it. And if she doesn't want to do anything about it, well, then we know. We know either way.
The Cuban exile community to tell this body it's time to denounce socialism in this country, because just like it happened to the Venezuelans, it could happen to the Americans. I yield back.
I reserve, Speaker.
Lady from Florida reserves. The gentleman from, or yields, excuse me. The gentleman from Arkansas reserves. The gentlelady.
Thank you very much. For those who are expecting their Social Security checks this month, turn them down if you think that's socialism. I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Himes, who is also the ranking member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence.
Thank you.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Mrs. Waters. Although I must say I'm a little confused. I'm not going to frame this as a parliamentary inquiry, but I'm very, very confused. We've just gotten back from a 2-month paid vacation in which federal employees didn't get paid, in which we started a war without congressional approval, in which electricity prices went up for 70 million Americans,
Oh,
in which
God.
inflation is rocking along at 3.5%. So I thought we were going to be in this chamber talking about affordability. By the way, my friends on the Republican side just got shellacked in an election from C to signing she, where the word is affordability. They got shellacked on affordability.
Yeah, they
And what
actually
did we
did
do this
though.
week? Congressman Norman, a guy who put a .38 Smith & Wesson on the table when he met with mothers demand action on gun safety, a man who called for martial law to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to stop Joe Biden from becoming president, he decided that Stacey Plaskett should no longer be on the Intelligence Committee. We spent half a day on that. Congresswoman Mace, who is Congresswoman Mace, decided that Corey Mills should no longer be on committees, and apparently we may do another one. So I prepared a speech on affordability. Lots of good ideas on how to make stuff cheaper. It says it right there. Lots of good ideas on how to make stuff cheaper. Good idea number one, get rid of tariffs, which are a tax on bananas, coffee, vegetables, pasta sauce, pasta, television, automobiles, Burgundy.
Wow.
Fine French claret for my Republican friends over there. Number two, stop.
This is how our government runs. This guy has a chance to talk about socialism, communism in the United States, and he gets up there and he brings a handwritten list, and at the top is things that will make things cheaper written in crayon. And then he's just going to go down all of Trump's policies and say, we should get rid of these. This is how our governments run.
Stop canceling generation projects which will make electricity cheaper. That was my speech. But instead, we're here to denounce the horrors of socialism. Okay, not what I was prepared to talk about. If I were prepared to talk about it, I would point out, I guess, two things. Number one, if you've ever cracked a book or talked to somebody, you would know that socialism is different than communism.
Oh my God.
And there have been socialist countries, and the chairman and I both come out of a highly capitalist industry, banking. There are socialist countries that have exhibited horrors like Denmark, like Finland, any number of other socialist countries. Communism, and in fact, if this resolution said communism, I suspect we wouldn't even have to debate it, because who likes communism? Anyway, I would make that point if I were interested in having this debate. Or I might point out, and I welcome the Republican majority and finally cotton on to the fact that we are living in the most socialist administration in 2.5 centuries. What's the definition of socialism? Again, if you crack a book, you'll see that it is state control over the means of production.
Wow.
This president has taken a 10% stake in Intel, a 15% stake in MP Materials, a 10% stake in Lithium America, 10% stake in Trilogy Metals, and we have a golden share.
The Democrat argument about why we can't denounce socialism is Trump is literally a socialist. Trump is the most socialist president. This is their... What the fuck, man?
In U.S. Steel, state control of the means of production. Madam Ranking Member, may I have one more minute?
I yield additional minute to the gentleman.
Gentleman from Connecticut is recognized for an additional minute.
So if the definition of socialism is political control over the means of production, welcome to the great socialist state of the United States of America. The other definition, by the way, has to do with command and control. Those are words we remember from the communist era. Command and control.
Oh my
Well,
God.
holy smokes. There is not a media company. There is not a law firm. There is not a university that has not been subject to the command and control of the Oval Office.
Yeah, I know. Me
The president
too.
has
Yep.
demanded money. Looks a little like extortion to me, but in order to avoid making a personality, let's just call it dividends. The president has demanded dividends from any number of companies. This is command and control. So I'm not actually interested in having that debate because I think we would all agree on much of this stuff, including the fact that we are now living in one of the most socialist countries on the planet. But what I really want to do is talk about affordability. which is what the American people care about. And until we're prepared to debate affordability, I yield back. I yield back.
The gentleman from Connecticut yields back. The gentlelady from California reserves. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging.
This is worse than watching actual socialism. Tolkien fan, I had to watch a session of Congress for my U.S. government class in college in 2002, and it was infuriated and disgusted that this is how our government works. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a benefit of this exercise in that if you've never actually watched Congress before, like, you think socialists are retarded, like Republicans, you think socialists are retarded? These are our leaders. These are the people who are spending our money. These people are way more retarded than socialists and communists, I promise you.
In personalities toward the president. A gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Don't be mean to the
I
president,
thank the Speaker.
please.
I want to yield
Decorum.
2 minutes to the gentlewoman from California who grew up, Mr. Speaker, in Korea. And as a young girl immigrated here to the United States of America. She knows the truth of post-war Korea and how challenging it was, and compared the Korea of her childhood to the Korea of today. Democracy, freedom, vigorous democracy, amazingly vigorous democracy in Korea today. But Ms. Kim is now the chairwoman of our Asia Pacific Subcommittee on Foreign Affairs. What a transition, and what a great voice to condemn socialism. I yield 2 minutes to the gentlewoman from California.
Lady from California is recognized for 2 minutes.
Hang on, we got a super chat from Nuru2. The other day, Prager, you did a video called Rage Bait Influencers. I just sat there dumbfounded, like, no, just know that is your thing, Prager. Yeah. Ironically, yeah. I don't even want to talk about them, Nuru2, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman. It's such an honor to stand here to strongly support the House Concurrent Resolution 9. As a Korean American who grew up in the aftermath of the Korean War, I have witnessed the horrors of socialism firsthand. I always say, if you want to see the difference between socialism and freedom, just look at the Korean Peninsula at night. South Korea shines with opportunity. North Korea is trapped in darkness. Time and time again throughout history, socialism has led to disaster, starvation, imprisonment, and the death of over 100 million people worldwide. My own family lived those horrors. My mother-in-law risked her life crossing the DMZ lines multiple times to rescue loved ones from the North Korean regime. To this day, tens of thousands of Korean families remain separated by a system that tears apart communities and crushes basic human dignity. Now more than ever, as socialist ideas gain traction here at home, and as our nation's largest city and financial capital has elected not just a socialist, but a communist as mayor.
Oh, come
we
on!
Must firmly demand our capitalist free market system, which empowers Americans of all backgrounds to achieve freedom, opportunity, and prosperity.
She has
I know
no
what America
clue.
represents because I remember my first glimpse of freedom as a young girl. Looking up, wide-eyed, as U.S. soldiers tossed candy from their trucks. In the communities that I lived.
When we do Occupy libraries, we of course are going to do leftist libraries. That's absolutely something that's going to happen. But when we go into any area that has a Republican representative, what I want to do is I want to make sure that we are reaching out and inviting the Republican representative to Occupy libraries to learn about real socialism and the communism in the United States today. And we're going to make a big public fuck off show of this. This is not going to be a private invitation. It is going to be we are going to send it to them and everything. But like, we're going to make a big show of, we would love the Republican politician in this area to come and join us at the Occupy Library event to educate everyone about the dangers of socialism and communism. We're gonna do flyering campaigns. We're gonna paste that shit like all over supermarkets and coffee shops and all that shit in their area. We're actually gonna do like I'm doing this off the top of my head. We are gonna do every single thing we can think of to do sorry, to damn well make sure that sorry, I'm still, god damn it, I still cough randomly every once in a while. I don't know why. We are going to do everything we can do to make sure we are inviting the elected politicians to come and actually learn about socialism. And when they don't show up, because they won't, when they don't show up, then we are going to flame their asses publicly for it. Because, like, it is not enough. It is not enough to just fight the left. It is not enough to just make this content publicly available for everyone. It is not enough to privately invite Republicans and expect them to do the right thing, because Republicans have shown repeatedly that they are not going to do the right thing. We have to shame the ever-loving fuck out of these people until they put on their big boy pants and they actually sit their asses down and look at the real problem, because none of these people has any idea. This woman has no idea. She might have a conceptual understanding of socialism in North Korea or whatever, but you can get that same conceptual understanding by watching YouTube videos about North Korea. I want her ass in a fucking chair watching the videos that we have of real communists and socialists. And if she is unwilling to do that, then she does not care about this issue.
Today, as one of the first Korean American women to serve in Congress,
Lady's time
that
has
freedom
expired.
tastes just as sweet.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Yield the gentlewoman 30 seconds.
Stories like these can only happen in America. As a member of Congress, I will always fight for the American dream and for our free market system that keeps it within reach for everyday Americans. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Lady from California yields. The gentleman from Arkansas reserves.
Thanks, Andre. I
Lady from
appreciate
California
this.
is
Exactly.
recognized.
Exactly.
House Republicans just passed a resolution
Exactly.
that gives the senators the right to sue their own government up to $500,000. Trump is suing the government also. The President of the United States, who controls the Department of Justice, is suing the Department of Justice. He wants to get personally $230 million because he didn't like being investigated and he wants to get revenge on his innocence. Give me a break. I now yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Gottheimer.
Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of this bill. Democrats just had a huge win across the country because we focused on what hardworking families care about: lowering food and healthcare prices and cutting childcare costs and lowering utility bills. What do socialists stand for? Tax-raising, job-killing policies like defunding the police, shuttering prisons, massive unfunded spending increases, and even government-run grocery stores. In New York, job-killing comptroller and socialist and reckless spender Brad Lander refuses to condemn anti-Semitic language like globalizing intifada, which calls for the death of the Jewish people.
No,
Many
it
of Mayor
doesn't.
Lekmandami's policies are radically at odds with both Democratic Party and American values. After all,
if it cannot be more clear to you that Democrats and socialists are not the same thing. I did a whole lecture on yesterday's show where we talked about the difference between Democrats and socialists and liberals and socialists and progressives and socialists, and then reformers versus revolutionaries. And it's like, if you cannot see that Democrats and socialists are not the same thing when the Democrats are getting up and denouncing socialism, I don't know what to tell you.
well, socialists aren't Democrats, they're socialists. Democrats are about
Exactly.
common sense, problem-solving ideas that
Bro.
promote public safety, opportunity for all, and lower costs for all Americans. I urge all Republicans to work with us on those pressing issues. America is the land of opportunity. Capitals of American innovation and the American worker are what
Gentleman's
built our
time has
great
expired.
country. We cannot let socialism tear it down. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. and I
Gentleman
yield back.
yields. Gentleman.
Zohar Mandami is not a communist. Zohar Mandami is a reformist. The proof of that is that Zohar Mandami ran an election. He's not a revolutionary. He doesn't want to overthrow the government. He is a reformist at best. It's a democratic socialist. He's not a communist. The fact that he went to the Oval Office to meet with Trump tells you he's not a communist. The fact that he said that he agrees with Trump on things and wants to work with Trump tells you he's not a communist. He's not a communist. I'm sorry. He's not. He is a reformist socialist. He's not even a revolutionary socialist. So that's why it bothers me. Accuracy matters. Titles matter. Names matter. Definitions matter. And when people are just getting up and lying and making shit up, what it proved is that representative doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. It makes me mad because that woman who's like, I lived socialism and I'm going to tell you about socialism and Zohar Mandami is a communist. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Like, it's clear. She's not going to protect us from socialism. She's not going to stop the left. She's not going to do shit. She doesn't even understand it. That's why it makes me mad.
Lady from California reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to my good friend, prominent member of the House Financial Services Committee, very active on financial policy in this House, Mr. Rose of Tennessee for 2 minutes.
Gentleman from Tennessee is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of House Concurrent Resolution 58, entitled Denouncing the Horrors of Socialism. It's a shame that I have to defend the obvious, but it's necessary because, unfortunately, across the nation, progressive Democrats are increasingly cozy with a failed, discredited ideology.
No,
Socialism has time
wrong.
and again led to economic ruin, human deprivation.
It's the
and mass
Democrats who
suffering.
are the real
But from
socialists.
the breadlines of Eastern Europe to the failed communist regimes of Cuba and Venezuela, socialism promises equality, but delivers it selectively. It promises security, but delivers surveillance.
Sure,
it promises fairness, but delivers oppression and democide. And yet, shockingly, socialism is making a comeback here in America, even in the world's greatest city. The newly elected, self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, offers socialism. A mayor who champions radical economic overreach, progressive ideology that can easily turn once prosperous countries into wastelands. Americans built New York City as a gateway for immigrants seeking a better life. We built it on freedom, self-reliance, and open markets, not on forced redistribution or centralized planning.
Yo, 2 ladies. Thanks, 2 ladies, for the 5 gifted channel memberships. I really do appreciate it. Congrats to everyone who got a new channel membership. Awesome. Thank you. No, they don't. No, they don't. But Jeff, you know this. Jeff, please tell me you're asking me this because you know the answer that I'm going to give you. Please, Jeff, you're being sarcastic, right? I know you know this. Please, Jeff, please tell me you're being sarcastic. Communists don't vote. They don't vote, and they don't vote for Democrats. No. The leftists that we watch don't vote, and they don't vote for Democrats, and they tell people all the time they don't vote for Democrats. They flat out, you know what, Jeff? It's okay. You know what, Jeff? You always show up when it matters, and I appreciate that you show up when it matters, but we need to get you to some more socialism streams, bro, because I've literally shown presentations. I don't think he's being sarcastic. That's okay. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Maybe people don't know. We have literally watched presentations on this channel multiple times where they are telling people don't vote for the Democrats. They don't like the Democrats. They don't support the Democrats. They don't want people voting for the Democrats. They think the Democrats are the lesser, are not, they don't believe in the lesser of two evilisms. So it's not even that they believe the Democrats are the lesser of two evils. They don't believe that they're different than the Republican Party. So no, they don't vote for Democrats. They didn't vote for Kamala Harris. They don't vote for AOC. They're not voting for no. Yeah, we actually, and not only that, we actually have communists. This is a really great point, W. We actually have communists on videos, like revolutionary socialists. You'll hear it when we watch the Revolutionary Socialism Conference this weekend. You will actually hear it. Okay, they shit talk the DSA. They think that Zoran Mandami is a traitor to the cause. They don't want to support Zoran because they think he's going to be corrupted by capitalism. They do not believe in elections. When they say they don't believe in elections, they really don't believe in elections. No, they didn't vote for him. Is no one fucking listening to me? The DSA is running an election machine in New York City to try to completely co-opt the entire city. This is not the same thing. They believe that real revolutionary socialists believe that Zoran Mandami is going to become corrupt. And I promise you, after the meeting that he had with Trump today, Zoran Mandami pissed off a lot of people today. You guys think Donald Trump pissed off a lot of people today? Oh, no. It's nothing compared to the people that Zoran Mandami pissed off today by even going and meeting with Trump. I promise you, we're about to see a whole bunch of presentations and statements and proclamations denouncing Zoran Mandami, saying Zoran Mandami's already been corrupted by capitalism. They are going to be so pissed off that he took a meeting with Donald Trump. It is going to make your head spin. So it'll be fun infighting for us, I guess. But I really wish people listen to me when I tell you for the 8,000th time, socialists and communists do not believe in elections. They do not believe in voting for the elections. They do not believe in participating in elections. They do not vote for Democrats in elections. They protested it's so mind-boggling. Guys, do you understand? The socialists and communists protested the DNC. They protested the DNC in greater numbers than they protested the RNC. It is truly mind-boggling that I need to keep explaining this. Truly and sincerely mind-boggling. To a very, very significant degree. Hey, two ladies, I have to run for now. Much love, respect. I will catch up later. We have a family coming into town to see my aunt. Thank you again for everyone's prayers. Thank you, two ladies. We appreciate that. And we have Andre here. Illiteracy in fashion in Congress. I can't believe we have so many illiterates in Congress. Idiocy is happening right now. Yeah, totally real. Totally real.
To Seattle, where the mayor-elect has chosen to boycott Starbucks.
I'll even show you.
A
Hang
company
on.
founded
I'll
in
even
her
show
own
you.
city.
Hang on.
Is this what we want? A country where those who run our cities turn their backs on the very entrepreneurial spirit that made them thrive. Meanwhile, I believe that we are still that shining city on the hill. We welcome more legal immigrants than any nation on.
Oh, okay. Here is Haymarket Books' YouTube channel. Average person, but Karlyn, surely the Democrats and socialists are the same. By the way, I'm drunk. Yeah, okay. Thanks, average person. There is a presentation on Haymarket Books' YouTube channel. We have watched this at least twice. The Genocidal Returns of Lesser Evilism, the U.S. Elections and the Left. This was a presentation that was given at the Socialism Conference in 2024. This is a presentation that was given. The Socialism Conference was in September 2024, okay? In September 2024, months before the general election, there was a presentation at the largest socialism conference of the year in which they explicitly said, repeatedly, in no uncertain terms, do not vote for Kamala Harris. We do not like Kamala Harris. Do not vote for the Democrats. Do not support the Democrats. You are batshit insane if you are voting for Kamala Harris. Do not vote for her. Do not do it. We do not support the lesser of two evilisms. They said this over and over and over. And this wasn't the only presentation we saw like this. There were presentations going on all over the country with the far left telling people, do not vote for the Democrats. The reason, do you guys want to know what happened with CPUSA last year? Now, the Communist Party USA mostly is irrelevant, which is why we don't really talk about it. But one of the reasons the Communist Party USA, CPUSA, is completely irrelevant is that last year, the leader of the Communist Party USA got the bright idea to tell everyone to vote for Joe Biden. This was before Kamala Harris was in the position. Joe Biden was still running. And when the leader of the Communist Party USA said, "Okay, guys, we're going to vote for Joe Biden because it's the lesser of two evils," everyone in the party quit. There was a mass mutiny in the party where they were like, "The fuck we are." And so the actual communists in the CPUSA did not want anything to do with the Democrats. And when the leader of the CPUSA said, "We're voting for the lesser of two evils," there was a mass mutiny in the party in which most of them left. And then the ones that didn't leave were actually kicked out of the party. So there's no one left in CPUSA. They all went somewhere else. And it's because the leadership said, "We're going to vote for the Democrats." And the actual communists were like, "No, we're fucking not." So, no, socialists do not vote for Democrats. They don't at all in any way. But I appreciate the question. And Amalek, I'm glad you're back. Don't think I didn't see you. I know you like your attention.
Earth, more than the next four countries combined. They don't come because they crave government control, but because they flee it. They come for liberty. They come for freedom. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now yield back.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Arkansas reserves. Gentlelady from California
She's
is
DSA.
recognized.
I yield to myself.
No, they didn't reject her.
Such
They were
time as I
fine with
may
her.
Continue to consume.
The lady's recognized.
Listen, instead of debating this pointless resolution, Congress should be faced on how we can reverse the catastrophic economic policies of the Trump administration that have raised costs for everyone. It is estimated that the illegal, disastrous tariffs Trump has imposed will amount to an average tax increase of $1,200 in 2025 and $1,600 in 2026 per household, and represent the largest U.S. tax increase as a percent of GDP since 1993. And not only are Trump's policies raising prices for everyone, they're killing American jobs. Although he campaigned on bringing back manufacturing to the United States, President Trump's tariffs policies have killed 42,000 manufacturing jobs. Since the beginning of this year, U.S. employers have eliminated nearly 1.1 million jobs. This past October saw the highest number of layoffs for any October since 2003. Additionally, during the Trump Republican shutdown, Trump fired an entire office at the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund that was dedicated to helping rural and struggling communities. So instead of debating this useless resolution, we should be working to reverse the Trump administration's reckless economic policies that are hurting the American people. Does anyone want to know why Republicans are so scared of the mayor of New York? Because he wants to lower grocery bills, transportation costs, and housing costs. Republicans know that Trump's policies are the reason costs are so high. Mr. Speaker and members, the evidence and the facts are right before us about what's happening with this economy. The President of the United States refuses to accept the facts, and he keeps going, supporting these tariffs. He does not understand how it all works. We're in danger of him because him, the president, and the Republican Party simply want to be in control. They love power. The president loves Putin. The president likes Kim Jong-un. He likes having a parade with all of the military to show that he's in control. And so he's coming up with policies that put him with more power and more control and he's ignoring the harm that he's doing to this country. And I want to tell all of the members, it is not only about the harm that is coming to urban communities. Those rural communities that are losing their hospitals, don't have health care, and have hungry families who have voted for him are now understanding, and they are demonstrating that it has been buyer's remorse. And when the next election comes, we're going to see what happens. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Lady from California reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
I thank the speaker. Well, the policies that are perhaps being considered in New York, the people of New York their voices have been heard, they've spoken. But when you think about having government-controlled grocery stores instead of relying on entrepreneurial immigrant families, Korean families with the beautiful bodegas and flower shops around the city, that somehow
yes,
they're doing
let's bring in more Korean immigrants. Yeah, it's a good idea. More immigrants, Republicans. Yeah,
that the government
great.
Step into that business.
We don't hate immigrants. We just hate illegals.
Even more difficult rent controls that have already driven down the number of units available in the city of New York, which
Today
is already
we celebrate the immigrants running the bodegas
and a huge price disadvantage.
No, well, you're already here, average person. Don't worry about it.
People who want to
you're
work
already here
in the city,
so you can stay.
This is contrary to economic choice, and that's another reason why we're here on this House floor, to note that an open democratic market capitalist system offers choice, and the freedom to choose is of critical value that is limited under socialism, in addition to the atrocities. Nobel Prize winner Frederick Hayek, one of my favorite economists, books I read as a young man,
Hayek,
The Road
Stunning
to
and Brave.
Serfdom, Constitution of Liberty. It's a man who lived under socialism, lived through the communist regimes of Stalin in Eastern Europe,
yeah, exactly.
Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about the road to serfdom. Well, you can think of some of these policies, Mr. Speaker, potentially as the scenic route to socialism. So somebody who understands market capitalism, constitutional republic like no other member, I want to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, who chairs the Immigration Subcommittee for House Judiciary. Mr. McClintock.
Gentleman from California is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's often said that capitalism is selfishness and socialism is sharing. But that's exactly backwards. The only way to succeed in a capitalist society is to figure out what somebody else needs and how to get it for them better than they can get it for themselves. It might be mowing their lawn, it might be doing brain surgery on their child,
I appreciate
but
it.
you have to help your neighbor somehow. It's true, if you take $1 from Peter and give it to Paul, Paul's $1 richer and Peter is $1 poorer. But what you've really done is to take from both of them $1's worth of incentive to help each other. Peter no longer has a reason to help Paul because he no longer benefits. And Paul has no reason to help Peter because he no longer needs to.
Appreciate it.
Socialism thus dissolves the natural bonds that hold a society together and lead each of us to help one another. Capitalism is voluntary. Peter and Paul help each other because it's in their mutual interest to do so. Socialism is compulsion. You've got to take what one has earned from helping others and give it to someone who has not. As Lincoln said, it's the same spirit that says, you work and toil and make bread, and I will eat it. Slavery and socialism both spring from that same rotten principle. Many societies have succumbed to the siren song of a benevolent, all-powerful government, only to awaken one morning to find the benevolence is gone and the all-powerful government is still there. Let that not be the epitaph of the United States of America. The history of human society can be summed up in just 4 words. Freedom works, socialism sucks. Yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Arkansas is reserves. The lady from California is recognized.
The gentleman said something about what was happening in New York with the mayor, and he mentioned, government-owned grocery stores. Well, first of all, you won't admit that groceries are too high and that families cannot afford the cost of eggs and basic good foods to have great nutrition for their families. By the way, let me remind you of something. You know, my then husband was stationed at Camp Carson in Colorado. Guess where we got our food? We got our food from grocery-owned commissaries. The best prices that I've ever realized. We had great nutrition. They absolutely supported the families, and they were run by whom? They were run by the government. And so I would love the idea of seeing what we can do to reduce the cost of groceries. We already have them in the commissaries, and they have price controls, and they are heavily subsidized. Now, let me ask the question. Does this mean that we should eliminate them because that's socialism, or because the commissaries provide food that is affordable at the bases all over America and the world? Fire departments, police departments, schools, hospitals. Is this socialism? I raise the question. And instead of you taking this time to try and talk about we were the cause of the shutdown when you know you were, don't deflect it. Come on, let's talk about socialism. Let's talk about the commissaries. Let's talk about your Social Security. Let's talk about the PPP program that some of you got money from your government to put into your businesses. Let's talk about socialism and what you are really trying to deflect from what is wrong with this administration and what is wrong with the economic policies of this administration.
I need
Come on,
another
let's
beer,
talk
guys.
about it. I reserve the balance of my time.
Members are
Let's
reminded to address their remarks to the chair. The
Yeah.
California reserves. Gentleman from
Why is a
Arkansas
black
is
woman
recognized.
talking?
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
a very
Speaker.
good
I
question.
appreciate it so much.
That's a
I
very
want
good
to yield
question.
1 minute
I'm going to have
to
this
the gentleman
Imperial
from Georgia,
10%
Mr. Carter,
mocha porter.
distinguished senior member of the House Energy
Great
and Commerce
question.
Committee.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 1 minute.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of this resolution,
Great
denouncing the
question.
horrors of socialism, and there are horrors.
There
Socialism has
are
no place
horrors
in our
of
country.
socialism.
Unfortunately, the so-called woke liberals in New York City don't
Wow.
seem to understand that socialism is nothing more than mutually assured poverty, and recently voted to bring these failed policies to their own once great city. While I am saddened that New Yorkers will be willing victims of Zohan Mamdani's designed to fail socialist policies, I have filed legislation ensuring not
Cheers.
one dime goes to fund these un-American agenda. The rest of the country should not be forced to subsidize one mayor's destructive actions. Today's resolution builds on those efforts, making it clear that the United States does not stand for, does not support, does not condone a system of government that makes people poorer, less free, and less safe. With this resolution, we reiterate our nation's commitment to remaining a free, a prosperous society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Arkansas reserves. The lady from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I'm challenging my Republicans on the opposite side of the aisle, let's talk about socialism. Let's not try to
Let's
deflect,
talk about it,
from
Maxine.
what you know and understand that you want to hide. But before I go into much more of that, I'm going to yield 5 minutes to the gentleman, Mr. Raskin, who is the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. Mr. Raskin,
Gentleman
take
from
him on. Tell him what socialism
Yeah, tell
is
him,
really
Jamie.
all about.
The
Tell
gentleman
him,
from
Jamie
Maryland
Raskin.
is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to oppose this cynical and silly resolution. I am not a socialist myself, but a Tom Paine Democrat, a champion of
Tom
strong
Paine
democracy,
Democrat.
universal freedom, and equal rights for everybody. But this resolution is ridiculous. From its first paragraph, it promotes the fallacy that socialist ideology leads to social collapse. In fact, many of our strongest democratic allies on earth, including Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland, and Finland, lead strong democratic socialist governments, and thriving societies and economies. Yet House Republicans base their entire resolution on this falsehood and advance a false equation between democratic socialism and communist dictatorship, a preposterous assertion that contaminates the entire resolution. The resolution even tries to conscript to these ideological deceptions the words of President Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, Enlightenment liberals who lived long before socialist ideology even existed and would detest the fanatical theocratic politics of the MAGA movement and the plutocratic billionaires and plundering CEOs who are running things behind the curtains. Thomas Jefferson is quoted embarrassingly in this resolution for the proposition that to take property from one to give to another is to violate arbitrarily the first principle of association. This is a bizarre argument, not only because Thomas Jefferson died in 1826, a decade before the word socialism even existed and was in common use.
That's actually exactly what socialism is, you retard. Are you serious? Are you serious? Jamie Raskin doesn't know what the fuck. I listen, I know we're all shocked by the revelation that Jamie Raskin doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I know we are all shocked by the realization that this guy has no fucking clue what socialism and communism actually is. But can we just have another moment with that, please?
Even existed and would detest the fanatical theocratic politics of the MAGA movement and the plutocratic billionaires and plundering CEOs who are running things behind the curtains. Thomas Jefferson is quoted embarrassingly in this resolution for the proposition that to take property from one to give to another is to violate arbitrarily the first principle of association. This is a bizarre argument, not only because Thomas Jefferson died in 1826, a decade before the word socialism even existed and was in common use. It is also bizarre because Jefferson shamefully owned more than 600 enslaved people over the course of his lifetime, and whatever his many other virtues, and he had many, his entire livelihood was based on appropriating the labor of other people against their will and stealing their property that they should have had in their own bodies and in their own lives. The resolution is completely disoriented. It plainly feeds into the decades-long Republican obsession with labeling the great programmatic achievements of American democracy as socialism, including Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, public education, public health measures, and the Affordable Care Act. By defining essential democratic public programs as socialist and claiming that socialism inevitably leads to Stalinist communism and social collapse, these plutocrat Republicans are plainly working to undermine the living standards of the working class majority of America and rip up the social fabric of the country. Meantime, President Trump's heroes and best friends in the world are communist dictators. If House Republicans really want to oppose the promotion of socialist ideology, why don't they write a letter to President Trump and condemn his worship and admiration of Stalinist dictator Kim Jong-un of North Korea? Quote, "We have a unique relationship and a very special friendship." Former KGB officer Vladimir Putin, who said that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest catastrophe of the 20th century. Of him, Trump says, Putin, very smart. Will he become my new best friend? And what about the chief of the Chinese Communist Party, President Xi? Trump describes him as a brilliant man. He's got the look, the brain, the whole thing. President Trump has no problems with the actual horrors of communism today, like the Chinese government's massive human rights violations against the Uyghurs, the Tibetans, and political dissenters in their country. Quote, well, he's a brilliant guy. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Or how about Vladimir Putin's persecution and poisoning of human rights and anti-corruption activists like Alexei Navalny? Of him, Trump says, I don't know exactly what happened there. We haven't had any proof yet, but I'll take a look. I'm voting no on this pathetic, disoriented resolution, which is divorced from reality and drenched in right-wing ideology. It will only serve to accelerate MAGA's attempts to defund the essential social programs that are central to American democracy, that were built by the American people, like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, which they call socialism, but which serve our people. Thank you for yielding, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Lady
Stunning
from
and brave,
California
Jamie Raskin.
reserves.
Stunning
I
and
reserve the balance of
brave.
my time.
Lady from California reserves the balance of her time. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
I thank the Speaker. I want to yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Malliotakis, who serves on the House Ways and Means Committee, who's firmly opposed to socialism.
Lady from New York is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me educate our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Socialism is communism light. Socialism is the first step to communism.
Oh my
Socialism
God.
is the antithesis of the American dream. Because in this country, we believe that regardless of where you come from or how you started, if you work hard, if you sacrifice, if you play by the rules, you can succeed. And that only happens in a country where you have freedom, where you have liberty, where you have self-determination, and you have the free market. In contrast, socialism is the belief.
We only have like 20 more minutes of this, okay? We're almost done. We're almost done. One in the chat if you feel like you are getting stupider through the course of watching our elected representatives. 2 in the chat if you think this is an acceptable use of government. 1 in the chat if you are actively losing brain cells and you would prefer to be watching socialism right now because at least socialists aren't raging fucking retards. 2 in the chat if you think this is just fine. And this is the way government should run. And this is the most that we can expect from our elected officials. Can we just deport all of these people? And I literally mean all of them. I want to deport the Democrats and I want to deport the Republicans. And can we just deport them all to Israel, please? Can we just send them all to fucking Israel? All of them. One in the chat for deport. 2 in the chat for no deport.
That you work hard, you sacrifice, you do everything right.
You
and
feel
the
like you need a
government can take
shower?
what
Me
you
too.
earn from you to keep it for themselves or to redistribute it to whoever they choose. Millions of immigrants in this country fled their homeland to come to the United States to escape socialism and communism. Just ask your constituents from Russia, from Poland, from Albania, from China, from Korea, from Vietnam, from Venezuela, or Cuba, where my mother fled in 1959 to escape the very things that our new socialist mayor in New York City says he wants. A socialist who says he wants to seize the means of production. He wants to abolish private property rights. He wants government-run supermarkets. Yes, he says he's a socialist. But guess what, my friends? Those are policies straight out of the communist playbook of Karl Marx.
Oh, wow.
So there is no difference between socialism and communism. And where these policies were tried, yes, they failed. Look at Venezuela, nearby country, self-proclaimed socialists. They destroyed the richest country in South America. They implemented these government-run supermarkets, and they have empty shelves. Venezuelans lost an average of 20 pounds due to starvation. They promised free, universal health care, and now they have a severe shortage of medical supplies, of medicine, of doctors. It's a horrible system. They seized the means of production, and it led to hyperinflation and complete economic collapse, which is why you had all these Venezuelans trying to come over our border illegally. You know, sadly, New York City chose to learn the hard way what socialism is. And we, those of us who did not vote for this guy, are going to pay the price. But it's up to all of us to fight back, to educate our youth, and to contain this ugly monster so it does not spread and destroy our country.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Gentleman from Arkansas.
Mr. Speaker, the House is not in order.
I would agree. Members are reminded to take their conversations off the floor. The House has not been in order. Gentleman from Arkansas.
Reserve.
Reserves. Gentlelady from California
Thank
is
you.
recognized.
I'd just like to say that the Republicans are confusing socialism with despotism or authoritarianism.
Gentlelady will suspend. Members are again reminded to please take their conversations from the floor. The gentlelady from California is ready.
Again, Republicans are confusing socialism with despotism or authoritarianism. Despots try to control the press, education, the system of justice. Despots send the military against their own citizens. Despots try to control the economy. Despots arrest their own citizens, including children, in the middle of the night. Let me just say that the young lady talked about working hard, and socialism, robs families of what they've worked hard for and what they've earned. Well, I want to ask you, what is this administration doing when it takes 10% equity stake in Intel, 15% equity stake in MP Materials, and 10% equity stake in Lithium Americas, 10% equity stake in Triology Metals, and a, quote, golden share in U.S. Steel Corporation? What is that? Now, the Republicans have tried to confuse you on what is socialism and even called it communism light. That is an absolute distraction from what we're discussing here today. Communism is communism, socialism is socialism, and a government run by someone who is not taking into consideration the facts and the harm and the threat that they're doing to education, the attempt to take over law firms, the attempt to tell some of the finest universities in this country what they can teach and what they cannot teach. And I repeat, giving away our money to a country, $40 billion.
Does Maxine Waters understand that universities are not businesses? Does she have any idea that universities are just completely different, a different like model than businesses? Does Maxine Waters believe that Trump using standards for universities is like seizing the means of production? Wow.
At a time when that money is so desperately needed in this government. And so
Yeah, cheers,
we can
Maxine.
talk about this all day, but absolutely you're looking silly when you try to talk about communism light or you try to describe socialism when you don't know what it is. And so I am saying that I denounce this administration, this Trump's family, and all that is going on that's undermining our democracy. We are about a democracy that must be protected, that must be fought for. We on this side of the aisle are fighting every day to make sure there is justice and there is equality and that our government is not undermining democracy and calling it socialism, calling it communism, calling it whatever you think you can use to deflect from what is going on. We're in a terrible time in this government with a president of the United States and a family who are enriching themselves on our backs. Yes, I fought hard to keep the president of the United States, the cabinet, and the members of Congress from owning cryptocurrency. But unfortunately, they're enriching themselves every day. I think the president has enriched himself by maybe $1 trillion already in the limited time that he's been.
What? Maxine Waters thinks that Trump is $1 trillion richer than when he took office? I'm sorry, what? Maxine Waters thinks Trump is a trillionaire? Trump is like barely a billionaire. Trump has billions of dollars. That's true, but like Trump is like not like Elon Musk. Trump is like a baby billionaire. You expect us to believe that Trump is a trillionaire? That's the funniest thing I've heard yet. Hey, thanks, Kristen. No more Congress coverage. Yeah, okay, you guys are all going to thank me tomorrow. We're going to watch Socialism tomorrow, and you guys are going to be like, Karlyn, thank God. You're going to be like, Karlyn, we didn't know how much we wanted to watch Socialism until you made us watch Congress. And after you made us watch Congress, we really wanted to go back to socialism. I know. This is part of my evil plan. Hey, Jen, thanks for the super chat. Dr. K, why can't they just say read or reread the Communist Manifesto and this time actually comprehend it and remember there's no such thing as a free lunch? You know, that would make too much sense, Jen. That'd make too much sense. Appreciate it.
In the president of the United States. So don't come here talking about the dangers of socialism.
Don't talk
You
about
better
the
come here
dangers
and
of
talk about what you're
socialism.
going to do to strengthen our democracy. How you're going to make sure that we have an education system for all of the children, rather than an education system that has been torn apart by the president of the United States. Talk about how people stop sleeping on the street, homeless, while we're cutting Section 8 programs in housing. Oh, we could go on about this all day, but I reserve the balance of my time so I can rest a bit, let them say what they want to say so I can come back and tell them what they need to hear.
I need a nap.
Gentlelady reserves. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Alford, on the Oversight Subcommittee as Chair of Small Business Oversight and as a distinguished member of the Appropriations Committee.
Gentleman from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My blood pressure is up right now. I cannot believe just what I heard on the House floor. The ranking member of this distinguished committee.
Oh, guys, he's got a sign. He's got a sign. Socialism has a cost. Socialism bad. Freedom good. It's funny because it's so fucking cringe. Yeah, he made a scene. God damn. Excuse me, guys. Did you know that socialism is the opposite of freedom? It's over. It's over. God damn it. It's over, guys. It's over. It's over, okay? Socialism and freedom, they don't work. They don't work together. We like freedom, and therefore we hate socialism. Because socialism is the opposite of freedom. And they're all like high-fiving. They're like, yeah, great sign, bro. Great sign. I am a little drunk. Yeah, I am. Yup. That's way funnier to me than it actually should be, which means I'm probably drunk. You're probably right. Never had I thought the socialists are more based than Congress. Yeah. Guys, on their side, they have people who are willing to work free relentlessly nights and weekends, and they organize protests, and they do classes, and they have get-togethers, and they write books, and they take over schools, and they take over colleges. That's the left. The left is out there, and they're organizing, they're making calls, and they're having protests and rallies, and they're having fucking meetings, and they're writing all this propaganda, and they're getting it out there, and they're doing stickering campaigns and flyering campaigns. And on the right, we have some guy shows up with a sign, and it said, socialism bad, freedom good. And he gets paid $170,000 a year. Yeah, he does. Yeah. And he has a budget for his staff. Yeah. It's over, guys. Socialists lose, Republicans win. It's over.
Denouncing Trump, but will not denounce socialism on the House floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. History is clear. Socialism kills people. It leads to deaths of tens of millions, crushes religious liberty, and destroys free markets. Our founders built this nation on a revolutionary idea that individual liberty and not government control is a source of human achievement. They understood that when the government owns the economy, they soon seek to own the people.
Yeah.
I hope people who are watching right now on C-SPAN or on the news get what's going on in this body today. This side is against socialism. That side is for socialism. I am disgusted.
I feel like I just need to make a clip of that and play that at the like. We are against socialism and they're in favor of socialism, okay? And socialism is the opposite of freedom, okay?
This side is against socialism. That side is for socialism.
Yep. Yeah.
I am disgusted with what's going on
Me too.
in this body.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And I
Ironically,
hope
yes.
the American people see through the charade,
Gentleman's time's
the
expired.
gaslighting, and the lies that are being told. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Arkansas.
A reserve.
Reserves. The gentlelady from California is recognized.
the
And
balance
just a
of my
reminder
time.
that she has 1 minute remaining. Gentleman from Arkansas.
It's over.
How much time remains, Mr. Speaker?
We are so fucked.
One from Arkansas has 5 1/4 minutes remaining.
I think that, Mr. Speaker, I want to again call on my friend from South Florida.
No, we're going to give
But
her
before
more
I do
time.
that, Mr.
Okay.
Speaker, the House is not in order.
Dilatory. All he had to do was bang the gavel to bring the house in order. This is our government. It's like, the house is out of order. People are saying things that I don't like. Here, let me bang this big gavel 3 times.
The House is not in order. May I remind members to please take their
This is a clown
conversations
show.
off the floor of the
Yeah,
House.
this is a clown show.
You have the misfortune of having a speaker who is half deaf. So, gentleman from Arkansas
great.
is recognized.
Even better.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ms. Salazar of South Florida,
Even better.
a child of Cuban exiles from the Castro takeover of Cuba. I yield her 3 minutes.
Florida is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there is someone who has seen the horrors of socialism up close within the Democratic Party, is in the House, and it's the Honorable Congresswoman Maxine Waters. And I would love for you to support this resolution specifically, because Madam Waters, for decades, you traveled to Cuba dozens of times to visit Fidel Castro personally, whom you consider your friend.
Wow.
Congresswoman Waters was in Havana, and she saw the destruction of biblical proportions that Castro caused on that island, who at the time in 1960 had the highest per capita income in the Western Hemisphere. At that time, Madam Waters knew that thousands and thousands of Cubans were escaping on a raft, exposing their lives and their children to be eaten by the sharks. She knew that Afro-Cubans were being beaten on the streets of Havana, discriminated against by Fidel Castro, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, I am bringing up all these facts, because Madam Waters knew that the Cuban jails were full of political prisoners, and the Cubans did not have the same privileges that we are having right now to speak freely. At that time, Madam Waters never raised her voice
Uh-oh.
to denounce
Guys,
the
they're
horrors
yelling.
of socialism,
Oh,
Mr.
no.
Speaker. For that reason, I am asking
Oh,
Madam
no.
Waters.
For what purpose the lady from
I move,
California seeks
I move,
recognition?
I move to take her words down.
How dare
Order.
you insult a
House will
black
be in
lady?
order. The lady from California. For
How
what
dare
purpose do you
you,
rise?
sir?
I
How dare you?
rise to take down her words.
Personal attack.
Mhm.
Lady from Florida, please be seated. I'd ask the clerk to please report the words.
How dare you, sir? Uh-oh, is that it? We're not going to wait while they're standing
Lady
around.
The lady from Florida is recognized.
All right. So I'm asking for unanimous consent to withdraw the violations of the rules and continue with my speech, which is that if there are many people on this floor that have seen.
Without objection, the words are withdrawn. Objection is heard.
All right. Hey, do you guys?
The objection is
Do you
withdrawn.
guys? Do you
The
guys
gentlelady
want to
from
watch?
Florida.
This
her
is
request.
this is basically over. Do you guys want to watch? Do you guys want to watch real quick? One in the chat if you want to watch Zora Mandami and Trump's press conference after their meeting today. 2 in the chat if you're good. 1 in the chat if you want to watch Zora Mandami and Trump's press conference to see how that whole thing went, because I've seen some clips from it. 2 in the chat if you don't think that's a good idea. Okay, you guys want to watch it? Okay, fine. All right, well, all right, let's go do this. It's a lot shorter. Here we go. Trump and Mandami meeting in the White House. Everyone drink. If you drink, if you're sober, don't drink.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. That anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York, and we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president. And as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out. And I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Oh, that's a good
Well,
question.
we didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views. And what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of 8.5 million people who are currently struggling.
There are not an insignificant amount of people on the right now. They're talking about like left-wing populism and right-wing populism working together. And what I think the people on the right do not understand is that the left has a completely different vocabulary than the people on the right. And so it might sound like they're talking about the same thing, but they're not actually talking about the same thing. And I remain very, very skeptical of any initiative in which there's left-wing populism working with right-wing populism, because left-wing populism is not fucking real. Left-wing populism is socialism. And they don't really have any desire to work with right-wing populists. And I'm sorry, like I understand Nick's position on this. I actually do. And I think that young Nicholas is a little naive that if he thinks that's going to work out, I understand why he's advancing the argument. I think that he does not understand things as well as he possibly could, because Nick is still very young, and although he knows a lot about the Middle East, much more about the Middle East than I do, significantly more, he does not understand the left. And I know that. Like, I know that. Now, he knows some things. He's smarter than most people. I'm not going to say he knows nothing. He does, of course, know some things. But if Nick thinks that the left-wing populists are going to work with the right-wing populists, he is out of his ever-loving mind. And he's going to figure that out at some point. And I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But I am highly skeptical of any sort of alliance.
Under a cost of living crisis with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. But maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, from MTV Lebanon.
Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding
Sure.
you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like what you say for the Lebanese today, it's the independent state of Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or $21 trillion. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East. And we actually have now, for the first time, peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it. And I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is the potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that. Absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East.
We desperately want it. And that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again 2 major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights. And they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out. And I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, 2 questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, to the mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though. I just wonder to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media, inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focus on that same cost of living. And that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering their rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Mr. President, have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to meet President Zelensky about your plan for the region?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big Energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad. So many people. You know, last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close, but I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead. And we worked something out on that, but so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, you know, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really is on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happens if President? I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing.
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming?
No! Marjorie! What the fuck? Breaking news. Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning from office. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hope Marjorie is running for president. Oh, please let Marjorie be running for president. Marjorie is resigning from office effective January 5th, 2026. Just when Marjorie was starting to get good. Yo, you should play. You guys want to see your statement? Okay, hang on. Do you guys want to see it? You're going to see it. This is more important than Trump. Marjorie. Man, is she running for president or what? Okay. Marjorie, what is going on?
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more.
Yep.
And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception.
Effectual insurrection. In with the very generous super chat. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for the awesome super chat. I'm disappointed it came during Marjorie's resignation speech. But you rock, bro. I really do appreciate you. Thank you for holding down the fort on Rumble when you do that. I appreciate it.
And I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders. I have fought hard for that. I fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations. And I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time. And we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day.
All super chats.
My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big 6-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election.
You tell
And
her,
I will never
Marguerite.
forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of nonstop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day.
So
it has
true.
been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never, ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played.
Yes!
When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country. And instead, the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Wow. I would so vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene for president. It's not even funny. I would 1000% vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene for president. You know what? Marjorie as president would be the fucking best. Marjorie, you never know what Marjorie is going to do. Marjorie like kind of has like a give no fucks attitude where she's willing to say the thing you're not supposed to say. And sometimes that goes horribly wrong. Sometimes that goes in completely the wrong direction. But honestly, like that was based. That was amazing. Marjorie rules. I'm really sad she's resigning because I don't want Marjorie to leave public life. I want Marjorie to run for president. Marjorie now needs to run for president. Marjorie has no choice. She owes this to us. And it's just like her and Matt Gaetz need to team up. Matt Gaetz just had to fire his producer, although he really didn't want to because Vish is awesome. But like Matt Gaetz just had to fire his producer over something stupid and Jewish. And so Marjorie and Matt Gaetz need to team up and they need to run together. And they can flip a coin about who gets to be president, who gets to be vice president. I think Marjorie should probably be president, but like, you know, they can work that out amongst themselves. Marjorie and Matt Gaetz need to fucking run for the executive branch because, like, honestly, everyone else sucks. I'm really upset that Marjorie is resigning. Trump completely fucked her over. It's completely unfair. Trump sucks. Trump is like sucking up to Zoran Mandami now and saying, oh, maybe we can work together. I'm like, man. Whatever. She needs to run for president. She needs to just do it. Okay, guys, that's all I have in me. That's it. That's all I have in me. I'm getting too drunk to be on the internet. It's about to go horribly wrong. You know, maybe I'll come back and do protest coverage. Is there anything going on with the protest tonight? I don't even know. Is there anything even going on with the protests? I have no idea. I was out all day. So maybe I'll come back and do protest coverage. Maybe I won't. But you know what? We got the first communist professor fired since the McCarthy era. So I feel like I've done my job. And maybe I'll come back and do protest coverage, and maybe I won't. But I'm going to bounce for right now. I'm good. Yo, Marjorie W. L. Trump. Whatever. Guys, I will be minimally back tomorrow for Socialism Saturday. We will be doing Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. when I will show you the full Tom Alter presentation from start to finish. Tom Alter wasn't the only person to call for the overthrow of the government in that presentation, by the way. There were other socialists in that presentation who called for the overthrow of the government, and we're going to see them tomorrow. Portland Andy's up. Okay, well, let me take a break, and let me maybe have like a moment, and then I'll take a look, all right? Hey, thank you, James. I appreciate it. I might be back. I might not be back, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And take care, guys. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you here? That's difficult to answer. eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.